It's Friday night. It's a Pontificators night. Hey, all, what's up? We are going to pontificate our asses off today. Although we are kind of, we're kind of at a, what do they call that? Where you got a less of a crew. We got a skeleton crew tonight. Well, so far we're going to have a packed house, but right now we're at a skeleton crew. So we have more time for Zach, the young lad. So Zach can talk more because everybody talks over Zach usually. So
that's true.
I'm just too polite. I'm like, I have to respect my elders. That's the deal.
Oh my
wow!
gosh.
All right. Okay.
All
I
right.
had a good one for that. It was
All
a good
right.
one.
Here we go. So how you been, Zach? What's up?
Doing really good. Just doing lots of work, hanging out with Jason a lot this week, and just doing a lot of drawing and a lot of talking and a lot of being pissed off today. So.
Oh, you guys should have heard him when we first setting this thing up, man. Zach was he was potty mouth Bradley tonight.
I didn't say anything yet.
We might be able to get him fired up. We might be able to get him fired up later. Yeah, especially if Todd keeps effing up his camera here. Yeah. So how you doing, Chester? What's up?
Yeah, I'm doing well. It's been a pretty good week. I finally got to get back to work this week. I was really happy about that, and so things are getting back to normal for me, and awesome.
Cool.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, our mayor is. I think he's going to hold out. He'll be the last one to actually lift the restrictions. Oh, wait, here we go.
You mean no nuts Newsom?
Oh, yeah, Gavin Nuisance. He's a nuisance indeed.
Yeah.
Todd decided to show up.
Hi, Todd. You got a haircut. You cut it all off. It's not very fashionable.
I did it myself, though.
Actually, what it is it's the
I believe it.
Yeah, it's the pandemic cut because this is what everybody's doing because they can't get out to the barber.
I got hair, by the way.
Ooh,
Chester.
What do you mean? What are you talking about? I got a full head of hair.
You got about an inch left. It's going, man. Look,
what are you talking about? I got my barber says my hair is fine. I'm not listening to you, Todd.
What is that?
It's beautiful. That's sexy man hair.
Butt. That's a butt shape.
Oh, that's true.
Oh, dang.
It makes you look distinguished.
Fine. How about this? Is that better? Is that better, Todd? Does that help you out? That make you feel better?
Oh, pushed over. You're doing the old pushover.
That better?
Yeah, that's better.
Yeah.
That's a tad better. Not really.
You can tell I don't care, Todd. I did not. And he made me screw my hair up. Oh God.
Yeah, mine isn't going to fall out. It's just going to turn white. So I guess I'm blessed that way.
Mm-hmm. God, he really did mess my hair up. Oh well.
Yeah.
There we go.
Are we lacking do we need a person? Okay. I can get a person.
Not the person you were saying in the chat.
No.
You're in trouble, man.
No.
We're not going to say his name. Yeah, Todd always has these bright ideas like 5 seconds before the show, and they're usually the kiss of death ideas.
Yeah.
Although you did have that one idea, and it was the impromptu Wednesday show, which is our highest rated pontificator. So I guess you're redeemed there. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we are going to have Bob, and we are going to have Joe Thunderbuns. We're just waiting on them right now. So how you been, Todd? I think we caught up with everybody else.
I've been really good. Can't complain. Things are moving along with Florida Man and getting some colors back on some things and good stuff.
Colors back on the project that you can't talk about?
It's on that postcard, we've been using the postcard as sort of a tryout, and we got one back that we really, really like. So I'm happy.
Did you show that in the chat? I think I saw
some
colors in it. Yeah,
but I can put the I'll bring up the launch page.
Okay, we'll do that. We'll do that after we touch base with Comic Bob. What's up, Bob?
I didn't realize I was late.
No, we started a little early tonight. There's
it's your fault then. Okay.
Yeah, it's my fault. But if you were keeping up in the private chat, it was a mutual decision.
I was busy, you know, being a human being and
life. You mean life?
Yeah.
How dare you, Bob?
He was eating nachos. I have it on good authority.
No, I was eating a peanut butter Buster parfait.
Ooh,
Whoa.
Hold on, no, bring it up. Let me see it. I want to see it.
how dare you? Is that got caramel in it?
Ooh.
What is
I don't
that?
have good things like that over here. You suck. God.
Looks like puke.
No, you just have the hottest women in the world, and best food and everything like that. Yeah.
Hey, you know.
I'm starting already.
But I'm discriminating, so.
Ask Chester how many flavors of Kit Kat they have over there in Japan.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll tell you right now that vanilla Kit Kat sucks.
Strawberry Kit Kats are a gift from God.
Yeah,
No,
but
they're not.
vanilla-
They're horrible.
The
They're
white
horrible.
chocolates are horrible. They're disgusting.
There's at
Actually-
least 30 Kit Kat brands
Yeah.
or flavors over there.
And
One
they
of them
got
is
coffee
vanilla.
flavored Kit Kats.
All right, you get the no prize, Chester, if you can name all 30.
There aren't 30. Actually, when you go into the store, there's a standard Kit Kat, and there's occasionally a strawberry one. I haven't seen the white one in years. The one we usually see the most is matcha, which is
Matcha, yeah.
like a green tea, nasty thing.
My
Girls
niece
usually.
lives on those.
Yeah, well, it's a girl thing. The girls, it hits the female taste buds, I guess, because it's very rare to find a male that enjoys matcha. But
Yeah.
It's like guacamole or like avocados.
I don't. That's a very bitter green. I know it's color green, but it has that green taste, and it's very bitter. I don't know, but women love it. So,
Mm.
But
It's the same flavor as their souls.
Oh.
God, is that Booster?
You know what? It's now Bob Soul Eater, whatever your last name is. It's comic book Soul Eater Bob now.
Mhm.
Now, I went looking up like Japanese snacks because I was busting Chester from a chat. And I found this little round ball of, it looked like chocolate. And it looked like the center of it was even darker, like fudgy chocolate. And when I went and read what it was, it started with a K, I think. It was all paste. And it just was really like, there was nothing chocolate about it,
It was
basically.
bean paste. Yeah.
Bean paste, yes, that
Mhm.
was one of the things. And it was just really, it looked like something you wanted, right? Because the thing looks like a shiny ball
Oh yeah,
of
a lot of Japanese food like that.
fudgy chocolate,
Yeah.
and there ain't a bit of chocolate in it.
No, one thing about Japan I can say that will give you an understanding of the general aspect of sweets over here is it's good for you.
Yeah, no one wants that, man.
No one wants that,
Dude,
dude.
The Japanese take their snacks very seriously, from
They
what I
do,
understand.
and they're very
And
healthy,
they also
and they
have,
tend
like,
not to be
5
very tasty.
They have very 5 or 6 Doritos too.
Oh my
But then-
God! Don't even get me into the Doritos. It's horrible. I can't even find good Doritos because it's so messed up.
Okay, I'm going to throw this out to the chat. Okay, do the Mexicans have any good desserts? Like they're all like, it seems like they don't like sugar at all. So like flan and all these, they're like really bitter and really like
What about fried ice cream?
You've never eaten a churro before?
that's not really Mexican.
That's
though.
not Mexican. Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, man, don't take it from them.
What about those little pockets of? It's basically fried dough that they put cinnamon sugar on, and you dip them in
That's
chocolate.
That's a churro. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what-
But that's
that's what that-
Portuguese, I think. But it's like the in Mexico, the most popular taco you can get isn't Mexican at all. It's Turkish.
right.
you know.
Wait. Pablo is starting shit here. Flan is not bitter.
It's not.
Oh,
Uh-oh.
yes, it is.
I think it is. Yeah,
It's
I think it's bitter.
disgusting, man. It's like coffee without sugar in it. It's like
Yeah.
it's
yeah.
pretty disgusting, man. And I've had all kinds of different like different types of like there's all kinds of different cultures that cook flan and stuff. And I've had most of them. They're all equally as bad.
What is this Yule Carter down? He says agua fresca is good though. What do you mean fresh water is good? Of course it's good. What the hell?
That's my boy. That's my boy Yule, man, from the wrestling council.
Yeah, I don't like. I'm with Art. I don't like flan either.
Oh
Okay,
man,
well, Chester, you don't get to talk crap about other people's stuff because Japan has mayonnaise ice cream.
I'm not Japanese.
You just live there.
Mayonnaise ice cream. Let that
I know,
sink
dude.
in.
It's horrible. It's horrible, dude.
I am
only
going to
thing-
blow my I'm going to blow my flan over flan. How could anybody defend this dessert?
I know.
I'm gonna say this.
Also,
Even
wait,
though
I have to say
Japanese-
this, okay? Just to make it sound more appetizing, it's like the consistency of snot. Like it's
Yeah.
disgusting.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
horrible, man. It's
Yeah.
like congealed. It's like congealed mocos. Like
Oh man.
You know something they do well over here that you wouldn't expect. Sesame ice cream kicks
I
ass.
haven't actually had that before. It's actually
It's
not that
really
bad.
good. You might be like, what? But no, it's really good. Yeah.
if you put enough sugar in almost anything, it's delicious. So I can see that.
Oh,
Chester may
okay.
not be Japanese, but he smells Japanese.
Does he?
Oh, God.
And what is that?
He smells Japanese every day.
Yeah, I
It smells
do.
Like success is what it smells
I
like.
do. Yeah, it does.
Oh, okay,
Well, this is a topic worthy of the pontificators.
Okay, wait.
Hey, the
Robert,
chat's into it, so who cares?
Robert's saying, "Hey, gang, I prefer vanilla pudding to flan," and you
So
know
do I.
I do too. But what is that pudding that's lumpy? Is it rice pudding?
Tapioca.
That's
Tapioca.
custard tapioca.
My dad loves
That's
that.
my favorite stuff.
Oh God, my wife likes that crap. Ugh.
Wait a minute. Did Zach say under his breath he loves that shit?
No, I didn't say under my breath. I said it out loud. I was like, I love that. I grew up with tapioca. Of course, I grew up in New Mexico, where also I was about to say there's these Mexican candies, and it's going to sound gross, but it's really good. Is that what they would do? Is they would put chili powder on a lollipop that was basically ground up corn.
Yeah,
Dude, I'm gonna tell you
Yeah,
something.
Zach.
And those were from
Zach.
Mexico.
Best
Zach.
chocolate I've ever eaten. The best
Zach.
chocolate I've ever eaten has
Zach.
has like chili powder and then rock salt in it.
What the fuck do you want, Chester?
only girls suck on balls, Jack.
All right, wait. I gotta back up for a minute. Okay.
Put them in your mouth and suck them.
Zach was saying, what was it? Rice pudding, or what were you saying?
Tapioca.
Tapioca.
Old people
Okay,
food.
wait.
I agree, Eel.
I
Old
have to
people.
ask
Yeah.
this question. What are the lumps? Okay, and why are the lumps?
It's
Those are
tapioca.
actually how you get to that is really weird because that is something almost like that has to cure over
I'll tell you,
time.
I know what those lumps are. If Zach's not going to speak up, those lumps, those are hate.
Just pure hate.
They are.
It's actually starch that's taken out of the cassava plant, is what it is, right?
I didn't want a real answer. Thank
Oh,
you.
I'm sorry. I'll shut up then.
But you know, Chester would know that because they put those in tea over there.
They do.
Oh,
yeah, boba.
Yeah, bubble
Yeah, the
tea is
Bubble
crazy
tea.
popular. Yeah, for like 30 years. It's really popular. But the chat's really into this conversation. Awesome. Rice pudding. Shut up, Metal. Get the hell out of here. What is this? Metal also brings up bread pudding. God, you suck, Metal. What the hell?
Bread,
Joe
you don't have- you don't
Joe
like
Carter
bread
made a point,
pudding?
man.
Dude, bread pudding's horrible. You,
Bread-
as a God-fearing American Italian, should not be loving on the bread pudding.
About the pudding for it, and they're putting the pudding in there. Oh,
I think bread pudding is like that's poor people's dessert, right?
Oh God! Now here we go. Elitism in pontificators.
Hey, I was poor, man.
Art,
You know what our
you-
dessert was? Our dessert was buttered bread with sugar on top. That's what our dessert was.
Are you so sophisticated that if your car gets dirty, you throw it away?
I wish. I have people that clean.
This is poor people. But I don't eat that kind of steak. That's the poor man's cut.
That is the poor man pudding.
Spirits car says flan is worse than cancer. I agree, sir.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so now we can move on. We finally have Spirits Card speaking up, and he
That's
is
right.
the voice of authority in the chat. So when he says, when he puts the hammer down, man, we got to listen. So the topic was going to be the truth. I have it written down here. The truth behind the collapse of geek culture. So I thought there's many things going on right now. So one of them is Diamond, and we had another BS. Well, I guess
No, it was BS.
Todd
It was
doesn't
BS.
think it was BS, but we had a Steve Jeppy another video on Dan Shaheen's YouTube channel, and it seemed very, very wishful thinking and very upbeat. But that's not a judgmental call. We're going to talk about that, and also I don't know if you guys heard, but the truth with KK. Kathleen Kennedy has come out, and that she is the fall guy completely. There's nobody else. Like, she is the culprit, and that has come out, and that's factual. So we can talk about that, and then a little bit about I guess just monopolies. I think that Jeppy was bringing up monopolies, and I think that was a big topic. I forget which retailer talked about that. Was that Gary Groth? I think he had the best question. I think he mentioned Monopoly, and he brought that up to Steve Jeppy. So so do you guys want to get into Miss Monopoly? You guys want to get into the Steve Jeppy video first?
Sure.
We can, and you might want to check to see. Joe might be hanging out in the back waiting for you to let him in.
Oh, you know what? I actually said hi to him back there, and I didn't even realize he wasn't in here yet.
Yeah, there's 2 levels. So hey, Joe, what's up, man?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey,
Yeah, we're getting right into this, man. So we're going to get into the monopoly of socialism. Winning is for capital.
So in socialism monopoly, do you win when all you have is the electric company and the waterworks?
I don't know, but it's literally a game. It's not a joke. It's not someone propped it up. Monopoly, of course, the company here was that Milton Bradley, maybe. But they have put these 2 games are real. And in Miss Monopoly, if you're a girl, you get $240 when you go past go because it's time.
Well,
they get more than guys.
Yes, they do.
They get more.
Yeah,
this is a real game.
It's real.
This is the most woke game. I played this. We have this in my house.
Why? Why?
That explains a lot.
So wait, Todd, you actually shelled out money for Miss Monopoly?
Todd, you're the man. Put your foot down. Control it.
I didn't shell out money for this. This is something that they bought.
They?
My daughter,
the
and
women,
my wife.
The women in the family that really run things.
Wait, I have to ask you, this, Todd, to be fair. Okay, to be fair to Todd, did you know the rules before you started playing the game?
No,
of course not. Yeah. And I think a lot of people who do buy it is like that. They say, "Oh, a girl version." Oh, all right, no problem, right? But it's actually just typical woke nonsense, just this is.
Do minorities get extra money too for pass and go?
No, it's racist.
It's
You're right.
Straight to jail.
Yeah.
Well, this is not fair.
If
This is not fair at all.
You start out in jail if you're not white.
And there you go. That's
So
that. They should make that.
To be fair,
No,
guys,
I'm
though,
kidding.
the women need that extra $40 from going around go to buy their shoes and their purses. So
That's true.
And I'm sexist.
And the other thing is they don't use that the thing in the center where everything you pay to the bank goes in the center and you can win it when you land on park.
Free parking, yeah. That's not actually a rule in Monopoly has ever had. That's just something that became a house rule that became universal with everybody. It's not technically Monopoly.
Began in Massachusetts.
Maybe. Just blame Massachusetts. Yeah, that sounds good. I just thought it was funny because you kept mentioning the word monopoly, and these things are currently hot topics. So
that is bizarre. I thought those were jokes, but it's actually now scary. And we do need more pontificators. Maybe we should go 3 days a week because we need to straighten some people out because this is absolutely scary shit, man.
It is. Well, we got to keep working until we can get Zach to stop putting balls in his mouth.
Yeah. What?
Oh my God.
I like the chocolate ones best.
Oh no.
The salty chocolate balls?
Yeah.
Extra vinegary.
God. Yeah. What is it? Something when you put them in your mouth and suck them?
Oh.
What was that? That's South Park, right?
Yeah, that's Chef before he lost his mind.
Before he went Scientology and went woke.
Right.
And then he went broke.
Yeah.
So we will try not to judge Todd too much. I'm sure it's their favorite game.
It's not my fault.
It is definitely your fault.
You gave them money, Todd.
I'm the only one in the house that knows how to play chess. So
dude, you are the man. The buck stops with you. I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, but can you play checkers?
Yes. And Chinese.
Yeah, Robert Romano. We made that same rule, man, where we made the house rule that every time you landed on taxes or anything like that, it all went into free parking so that whoever got it like a giant chunk of money.
Yeah, no,
Because
why not?
that's capitalism, man. That's how that works.
Oh, I'm gonna post this again. Did you see this? I think this is hilarious.
KK is worse than fly. Yeah, let's get into it though. We keep getting sidetracked, but it's my fault. I'm sure.
Well, we were gonna get into Jeppy. We were gonna get into the Jeppy stuff.
Yeah.
So let's start with Zach, because Zach was pretty passionate behind the scenes. So, what are your thoughts of the Jeppy video that Dan Shahan put up? Was it last night or the night before?
No idea.
Let's see. I think it was yesterday, wasn't it?
I think it was. Yeah. Let me check the date on it. Yeah, it was yesterday.
Get him, Zach. Yeah.
Oh man, where to start? Number one, the host of that is an absolute cuck, and all he wanted to do was suck everybody. Like, you could just tell. You could just tell.
Damn.
And I'm just saying it because I'm angry, and I know I shouldn't be saying things like that, you know. But man, that guy was just like, he was just happy to be there. He was just happy to be there, and he wanted anyways.
He kept turning his own camera off, Zach.
No,
he
he didn't know what he was doing. He kept doing the three things.
You're mad because he got on.
No, Todd.
You're mad because he got on your boy Richard Meyer for no reason.
I didn't even bring that up. I didn't even say anything yet. I didn't even say anything about him calling out Richard Meyer.
His own.
No, I didn't even say anything about that, Todd. You're
okay, but
he let
the people ask questions and then Geppy answer. He didn't. He got out of the way.
Todd, can you wait your turn? You'll have a turn, Todd. I'm pretty sure we'll all have a turn, Todd, to express our feelings.
At least
okay?
speak truthfully. Okay, you get your turn.
But
because people saw this
commentary.
Because people saw this
about how I personally feel about after watching that just softball game of it. You know, it was just extremely uncomfortable. It felt like no one was really asking me, like, as far as the publishers, they were trying their best to ask questions in such a broken glass tiptoey way that they wouldn't get exercised, you know. But you could tell all of every single one of those publishers, if you're looking at their body language, if you're just watching them, they are pissed about the situation, but they cannot express it because they have to act professional.
Yeah.
You know,
just to interject on your part, though, Zach, just interject on your part. Todd is the one that told me to go watch that video, and I did. And he's 100% right, Todd. That guy is an absolute freaking cuck, without question.
I'm not saying he's not, but
Go ahead, Zach.
I didn't even bring up Zach, though. I wasn't going to bring up your boy Zach because I don't have feelings on him either way. I'm happy that he's being successful in what he's doing. But the thing is, I don't know Zach well enough. I haven't really watched a lot of his videos to interject about, like, oh, he's getting on Zach's case or anything. I wasn't even going to bring that up.
You know how you really get to know a man? By a good game of Monopoly.
Yeah, we should play Monopoly.
Now, I will step in here for a second, and I will say that I think what Todd's trying to say is that I think the guy was being a pussy too, but I think he was also doing that thing where, and I've seen other people do this before, where they'll kind of step out of the discussion and let other people talk. I think that's what he's saying, that guy was trying to let them do, which that may be the case. But I'll say this. I will say this though, man. He came off, like I said, as weak as shit. Yeah, Dan
did, or Steve. Who are you talking about?
The guy who ran it, Steve. Dan Shan. Dan Shan. Yeah, Dan. I do think that he was doing that thing where he was like, I'm going to let these guys talk and I'm going to step away. But Dan himself was like, please, sir, may I have another? You know, it was that level of
really that. But I want to say this: is that really even the issue?
No,
what is his job? What did he not do his job? Why are we judging him? He was just the host and had it on his channel. He performed his job.
Well,
you can have an opinion about him. I don't have a problem with that. But that wasn't about him. And you're
all right. Here we go.
Now we spent
Todd
5 minutes on him.
The diamond distribution. It's happening.
I don't have a defense of any of that. I don't have a defense of any of that, but we're talking about the host as if he did
Okay.
something wrong.
What happened between last week and this week? Todd must have got an envelope in the mail.
No,
The
hang on.
Geppy family's on it.
Yeah.
Well, I don't think you should have called
I
out
have-
Zach. I don't think that wasn't his job to call out Zach. And like that was just, it was just like an interruption to the whole entire sequence. And it's like he
I
got
agree
pissed
with
off.
that point.
He got pissed off for no reason. And I was like that you didn't need to do that. It felt like you're just taking a stab at Zach because he's a bigger
Okay, well,
channel
let's
than
back
you.
up. Zach, tell everybody in the chat, just in case they don't know, what that situation was so they can get the complete story.
All right, so throughout this, basically this guy is bringing in the Dark Horse publisher, the IDW publisher, and stuff. And throughout that, Zach is actually putting out good questions in the chat of like, what about these other, distribution, like returnability things, that they're not answering. He's like, and then he points out that, man, everybody's being extremely passive. He literally says, wow, such passivity. To point out that literally all these people look like they want to like just yell, yet they can't, and it's like, why aren't we actually getting to anything that's actually meaningful? Because what we got was a lot of narration from Geppy about how like why they're in the situation they're in, but that doesn't help anybody. And he's also trying to defend like his business and why he's a monopoly, and he actually says like monopolies are good.
It was more of the same from the first interview is what it was.
Yeah, exactly.
So did they call out your boy Zach in the discussion? So what did they say?
They brought up his little message where it says such passivity, and then he stops. He says, "Look at this guy, this your boy Zach. Well, let me tell you." And he literally just goes off, and it's like on Zach for not really doing anything, just pointing out the fact that what everybody's thinking, and it was just like he didn't need to do that.
Okay.
He didn't need to, and it just felt like he was trying to jab at one of the, and he also calls him out and says like, "Hey, I've invited you to this show. If you want to be on this show, just let me know," and whatnot. But the thing is most likely, he would never invite him on that show.
He can invite me on with Geppy. I go.
Yeah, exactly. But he's not
dude.
I think
it's actually going to cause anything, ask any real questions.
Yeah, the issue that I had with Shaheen, and like Todd said, like if you really break it down, he did technically do his job. He set everything up. He let everybody talk. The problem is when you're hosting something, at least for me myself, I kind of expect you to be the guy who tries to present everything. You know what I'm saying? Not just to sit there and be a good boy and say, we're gonna softball questions to you and whatnot. I had the same problem with this. I'm a big fan of Joe Rogan. Okay, I have the same problem with this that I had with Joe Rogan the first time he had. I can't remember the guy's name now, but he's the guy who owns and created Twitter.
Yeah.
The first time he had him on there, he softballed the hell out of that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and there were people asking legit questions, like real legit questions, and instead of like you said, like basically just being 100% pro Diamond and not presenting these situations that we know exist, he didn't do that. I have the same problem with the way Shaheen did this interview that I did with Rogan when he did that first the interview with the Twitter creator.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where my issue stands. It's not with his personality. It's not with the way he acts. Although, like I said, and I think do think that kind of leans into the other because he was just very, very, very non-confrontational or even like paying any attention to anybody in the chat who were asking real legitimate questions.
It's not his job.
It is his job. He's the host.
Geppy, hold on. Are you going to let me talk?
No, go ahead.
That was his job, was to have the publishers come in and talk to Geppy. Was it not? Was it his job to get on Geppy? That's nobody's job.
No, but it's his job as the host, and that's his channel. It's his job as the host to present the entire situation. That's not what was happening.
What was the situation that you wanted him to present?
I wanted them to talk about everything. I didn't want him to softball the guy, and I wanted him to ask him the legitimate questions with the problems with the problems in the system that exist that we know they exist.
Let me just put a punctuation on this. So
and those problems that you're talking about that exist, the publishers are in on it, by the way. And that's what you forget. You think they want returnability because they don't. They would lose money.
I think what Zach and Bob are saying is that the host sets the tone for the show.
Yes.
So if he wants it to be softball, it will be softball. If he wants it to be more hard, then they'll get the hard questions. So Dan definitely tailored the show to be more fluff than to actually get into any real questions. Okay. And people in the chat, comic skaters want real serious fucking answers. They don't want to bullshit around. They don't want the same old. They don't want the bullshit. And so I think why people had a problem with this is because it felt like more of the same rhetoric. It didn't feel like we were moving forward. It felt like they were trying to appease everybody and say everything's okay. Yep, and I think that's what people had a problem with. But to answer your question, Todd, Dan handled it exactly the way Dan wanted to handle it, right? He set the tone for it, and he played it out the way he wanted. I just think that there were a lot of people that wanted more than just a pat on the back or the head and say everything's going to be okay, because there's a lot of people, especially comic skaters, that see past the bullshit and want some real answers because we're really concerned. And we think at this point with this pandemic, we have the opportunity to change things. We have an opportunity to move in a different direction since the shit has hit the fan and whatever, you know what I mean? Like, it seems like we're kind of at the end anyway. So why not take some chances, throw a Hail Mary pass, and at least start dealing with the real issues versus the bullshit. So,
and the reason why I think that's not happening, and it's not, again, it's because no one else is willing to take on. As you saw with these two new distributors, they're not willing to take it all on. They're willing to take on some, and they've beefed up a little bit to be able to do that. But they know damn well they can't do what he's doing. So it's a catch-22, and we're gonna sit here and bash the heck out of Geppy, who told you he didn't set out to have a monopoly. He bought one distributor when they got into financial legal issues, right? They had printers that they were being sued by and publishers they were being sued by. So he bought them. And that's the only one he ever bought. Everyone else dropped out.
Right. Let me back up, though. Oh, go ahead, Chester.
Now, I want to add a layer to this conversation before we continue on, because I think we're missing a couple of things. First of all, I saw you blink, Joe. I win. No, just
you get a Miss Monopoly, brand new, not even open.
You. Yay! But no, there's a couple other things to keep in mind with this. Now, the entire industry, good or bad, better or worse, the entire industry basically was on that show, right? But think about who wasn't there. Marvel and DC had no representation whatsoever. Yeah. One, two, Mark Waid conveniently had technical issues and couldn't be on the show because he was supposed to be there. My question is, why the hell was he even invited?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does he have to do with that?
He's a editor-in-chief.
He's an asshole.
Yes. But he is also an editor-in-chief.
Yeah, for what's it called? Not Lion Forge. That's
Humanoids.
Humanoids. Yeah. But the other thing too is like when you do a show like this, and this is the reason why I was so upset with the way it was with the fact that they were basically ignoring anything contrary to what they were trying to push during the show. When you do a stream like this, just like we are doing right now, and there's people in the chat, you do this to engage the people in the chat. You do this to get to see what they think about the reaction that they're seeing. They didn't do any of that. They ignored everything. So why are you even doing these things? Why are you even doing these things live? Then just record it and then edit it and put it out as you wish. If you want to engage people, then engage people.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys noticed, but at one point Dan said, well, after he had scolded your boy Zach and then gone away for a while, and then he came back and he apologized for losing it, and he said, I broke my own rule. I wasn't going to look at the chat, and I looked at the chat. So he had initially no intention of even reading any of the chat.
Right. See, that's my case. If you're doing something like this to supposedly engage people, then why are you even doing it live?
It was called a live summit, wasn't it? It wasn't to engage chat. That was not what they ever said. It was a live summit.
Oh,
Publishers
Todd,
talk about.
Todd, knock it off. If that's what they wanted to do, they would have taped it and uploaded it. They put it live so they would have chat interaction. Knock it off. Jesus.
Yeah.
They didn't put it live so they could have chat interaction.
Yes, they did, dude.
The chat was
Knock it
going
off.
100 miles a minute. There's no way to interact with chat.
It was
when
not
it's
going
that
100
much
miles a minute. I
chatting.
was sitting there reading it. And,
Yeah,
and
dude.
the thing that I kept seeing was, hey, you see,
Why is it his job?
No.
to-
Listen.
Come on,
This is
you
the
guys
thing
are
that kept
ridiculous.
happening in the
You'll
chat.
bash
Is
every
these
single
people that
thing.
said, hey, UCGers, don't be a bigot when Wade comes on. That kept happening
Right.
over and
Right.
over. Stop! Don't be a
Exactly.
bigot. Don't be a
There's two
bigot.
things.
And it was like, and literally everybody was just like,
Dude, I don't. Okay, now, Todd, I'm a little pissed off by what you just said, man. I don't care who's doing the stream. I don't care what the subject is. Okay, if somebody says something that's wrong, it's wrong. I don't care if Ethan says it. If Ethan says it's wrong, it's wrong. So you guys are going to bash anybody that disagrees with you. That's not true.
But let me back up.
You're not talking about the subject matter. You're talking about stuff that had
we are
nothing
talking
to do
about
with
the subject
whole
matter.
show. No, you're not.
Yes, we are.
You haven't. You talked about the host, and you talked about they ignored the chat. Nothing.
Yes,
none of that was
the chat
relevant.
were talking about what was
None
going
of it
on, and
was
they were
relevant
engaging.
to what they were trying to do. This was the publishers getting to talk to Jeppy.
Well,
it would be nice if we could get a little further along if you let Zach talk, you bastard.
It
Yes.
wasn't
Let me
Jeppy
just
talking to the chat.
Zach
The
talk.
host talking to the chat. Publishers, Jeppy. Go read the freaking title.
No. Okay, Todd. Just okay. when we do pontificators, we're going live, and we can choose to have the chat involved or not. So it's a decision that Dan made. So whatever he said was he was full of shit because it was open to the chat. Otherwise, he would have shut the chat down.
And he wouldn't engage Zach in the first place.
He did highlight people in the chat, like people saying things. He highlighted those. So
he did.
So if his intention was not to engage, he should then have shut it down and just had it a round robin discussion between him and the retailers. But my second point is, while I got the podium here, is that if you notice, this is where we're gonna go into subject matter. Okay, all those retailers and all those publishers and stuff were very, very high-end publishers. They were very successful publishers. So you saw their houses. You saw some like Mike Richardson's and stuff like that. These are really, really successful guys. So these aren't really guys that are in the trenches or that are even really making their empire on comics anymore. This is all their money is past tense. So they're kind of asking these guys like for input when most of them aren't even running the company anymore. It's even like Jeppy said, he's going to be more hands-on now. And I guarantee you, like Mike Richardson and some of those other guys, they're not all that hands-on with running their company these days.
as well.
Yeah. So if you guys want, we can start talking about the subject.
Well, can we let Zach finish?
What was I saying?
He didn't even get into the content yet. Let him do his thing. Shut up. Go ahead, Zach.
What was I saying?
You were just about to get into content. We couldn't get past the Geppy and not getting asked hot questions.
Let's get
you
on
got to
to
talk about what they talked about. Please do. Please go ahead.
Well, did you guys notice that every publisher almost mirrored the exact same thing, which was it's almost like it was like they were given like kind of like almost script. Did anybody else notice that?
Well, let's talk about the questions that they did ask. Let's talk about the stuff that they did.
Yeah, and one of the questions was how did you think they? What was it? Crap. No, my brain just turned off. How was it going to affect you essentially? and in a nutshell, and every single one of them replied with the same sort of thing. It was like, well, we knew that, Diamond distributes it, so we knew that it was going to hit them, but thank goodness, blah, blah, X, Y, and Z, we were smart, and we were hit too hard, and it was kind of like there were...
That's not what they said. They have movie divisions and other things that keep
them
afloat.
And that's what I'm saying, Todd, is like
blah, blah is not what they said.
Wow.
You're really not. All
right, Todd.
You're really not representing
other
what
investments.
they said.
They had other investments to keep them afloat, but they understood that because pipelines and other things of distribution were getting interrupted, that Diamond was going to have these effects. But the thing, what I was trying to say is not that they said that all of them said that and just repeated it over and over and over between all these different publishers. That's all they said. They didn't say anything about they didn't ask any questions about now that this has happened, what's going to change so that this doesn't happen again. And when they were talking about putting all your eggs in one basket, they were just like, well, that's what you're going to do. There wasn't any conversation about, hey, let's come up with some ideas about how we not let this happen again.
Right. Just to put punctuation on what we're trying to say is all those people that were pretty much in that conversation were all very, very successful people, and that were all it's old money, right? It's money that they've made on the past. So even if Mike Richardson didn't make a dime, moving forward with the publishing of Dark Horse or anything like that, he would still be okay because he still has all the movie IPs. He's got all the licensing. He still has all that. And even if he didn't have that, I'm sure he's made some sound investments that'll take care of him at this point. So basically, everybody that was in that conversation were probably financially well off. You know what I mean? They were all doing okay. These were hardly struggling, publishing houses and things like that.
Yeah, and that made me ask a question in my head. I was very sad that I wasn't there to actually, type it in. It's like, well, why did you bring these people on that are literally don't? It's not like they don't care, because this is still a big part of their life. They love doing what they do, but just, everybody else here is trying to ask questions about the retailers and the monopoly and trying to point out that this monopoly is not a good thing. While Jeppy's, on the other hand, is he's doing his best to prove that it is.
Well, Gary Roth was the only one that brought it up about the monopoly, and I applaud him.
But he didn't really bring it up. That wasn't the thing. Is he didn't really bring it up as much as he started talking about it, and then Steve Jeppy jumped on his story.
Right. It got derailed, but he did bring it up.
Yeah. But
one of the biggest issues I had with this was, like you said, they were talking about how they had other avenues of revenue. Okay. But the problem, and what we're talking about, is that we're not talking about the what we're specifically talking about is the comic book industry. Okay. And by their own admission, the comic book industry, their comic book line is not doing well. Their comic book revenues are not doing well. And so it's great that Dark Horse and whatnot, they have those other streams of revenue to fall back on. Other publishers don't. So the question is, what's going to happen to what's their oh geez, god damn it. What are they going to do to help bolster the comic book industry going forward from this? You know what I mean? It's because Diamond is largely a comic book distributor. So
yeah, exactly. I think what we've all cut through the BS is that pretty much it was PR to try to make everybody feel better. And the people that were chosen to be on there, those guys were all financially solvent. All those companies, most of those individuals were doing okay. So it was more or less just to try to PR spin things like everything's okay and we'll move forward and everything will be okay. But I think that most of us that see the problem, and like I said, Comicsgate, we don't want to be pacified. We would like to hear some real solutions to some real problems. And these, I got in trouble the other day when I said leaders. I called Gavin Newsom a leader, and they were like, no, he's not a leader. He's just your governor. And I was like, well, he's a type of leader. So I got in a semantic argument. So, okay. But these are people that we look up to. These are the people that we hope that are going to fix the industry so that we can move forward in a more successful manner. But all we hear from them is kind of same old, same old. The only thing that we heard that was even somewhat contrary, and I think everybody kind of applauded it, was when DC said, we're going to pull away and we're going to go in our own direction as far as distribution. And whether that's going to be like their plans that they threw out there are good or bad, that's debatable. But at least it's a move in a direction that isn't status quo, that isn't business as usual. And I think for somebody like me, that's what I want to hear. I want to hear, let's take some chances. Let's go in some different directions.
I agree with that, because that, regardless of that whole interview and how it was and what was staged and whatever, what, you're right. That was just make everyone feel good. And that was sort of what it was all about. But DC going with these two companies is not a save of anything, right? Because they're really just, everyone's talking about Jeppy having a monopoly. Yes, he does, but there's nobody waiting in the wings to take over. What if he said, you know what, I'm done? It would completely collapse because nobody's there that can do that, because it became something, like I said, where you got to read through the weeds of how this happened. It became what it was because all the other distributors, and he said at one point in the 70s there was 60 distributors.
Yeah,
but they distributed everything. Like J. Polyp was one. Here in Mass, we have a company called J. Polyp. They were one of those distributors. Now, when the comics moved out of the convenience store, and granted, I also wish they hadn't, but when they did, those companies couldn't add all these, whatever stores popped up that were comics, because that's all they'd be getting. And you see when if you've ever been to your comic store on a Wednesday, not so much lately, by the way, but in the 90s and when things were healthy, you saw how it was like drop shipment. It was a pallet. It was huge.
Yeah.
So those companies that distribute cigarettes and candy, there's just no way they could do that.
Right.
So the stores that became stores every Wednesday were getting so much different product when it was all healthy. Yeah. So I don't know that there is anybody there that could step in even though it's not healthy.
Well, and keep in mind that human nature plays into that. When Diamond basically got complete control over the situation, and time went by and things were healthy, as you said, it's actually just convenient for the comic book store owner to use one place to do all their ordering and everything efficiently. This is just the lazy nature of people. So that played into it as well. So it's not like everyone's not blameless. Everyone kind of helped and worked toward making Diamond what it is today. And I understood what Jeppy was saying, or Jeppy, I guess is how you pronounce it, was saying about that he didn't make the monopoly. He just came in and it kind of worked out that way. I'm sure he did a lot to make it happen.
Yeah.
But I get the fact that there's more than just the Jeppy is to be held responsible. But the point being is we don't need that anymore. And the most disturbing thing that happened during that entire conversation, the entire live stream, was the fact that no one fought against it. Every one of them were 100% on board. Let's go back to normal, exactly as usual. And that's not what we want. It doesn't work anymore. It's broken. It's hurting the customer. It's hurting the comic book store. It's destroyed the industry, what they've allowed to happen, this monopoly, which Jeppy will not take responsibility for. And none of those publishers would get on board against it. And I understand why. You made your good point earlier, Todd, why they wouldn't do that, because they're making bank. But they're not making bank.
Not on the comic side.
Because just to add to Chester what he's saying is because it was a limited idea. It didn't have any growth in the idea. So it was a very here and now clean up. And that's what the comic industry does, is it finds these trends and it exploits them and then plays them to the death, and then moves on to something else. But they never diversify when they are healthy. They never, ever try to expand when they have resources or they have money. extremes, extreme Image Comics, they had millions and millions of dollars. There was some conversation things, but there was never any real drive. Wizard brought up some stuff, but there was never any real drive to diversify, even when they had money to advertise and to move into different directions. No one did.
Yeah.
And you make
could
a
you
good
highlight
point.
Mighty Joe Young right there down at the bottom? Just highlight that real quick.
Oh,
Sorry.
well,
You make a good.
If we're going to
Yeah.
wait, if we're going to
No,
do
not that one. The last one.
I know, but let me speak. If we're going to do Mighty Joe Young, I wanted to say, yes, you're right. IDW is not solvent right now, and they're not financially doing well.
Yeah.
So
You
was,
make
was
a
that
good
what you saying,
point
Todd?
about health
Was it
because
this
I made
one?
a post. I made a post just yesterday, and you saw it, Art, about why hasn't, and I don't care if it's Marvel or them all together or them separately, why haven't they created a site just like, say, Webtoons and put a bunch of free stuff there for kids? And then when this period is all over and we're back to business, you have a mailing list and other, you have a bunch of names. I mean, there's something they could have been doing, and none of them did it. Okay?
Right.
None of them.
Like Chester said. Chester said everybody's to blame, but Diamond and Jeppy were glad to take that.
They're
role.
at the head.
Yeah,
Damn
and
right.
glad to move forward with
Now-
everything, even though there was no long-term growth.
But even so, if you want health to bring back health, where do you got to go?
Yeah.
Because
Now,
we talked about many times. We're closer to death than we're alive, right?
Mhm.
So we're gone.
Speak for yourself.
Who do you go to? You needed to give stuff away to kids during this period right now because they're home, and their parents would have probably pushed them towards free material.
Yeah, and,
Right?
and just it's
And
just
you
like we were
didn't.
talking about how when Marvel was killing it at the theaters, man. You
Same
had
thing.
this amazing vehicle
This
you
is
could have
Captain
used.
America.
Yeah,
This is where his origins were. Stan Lee,
Yeah,
Jack
they
Kirby.
should
Here,
have
read
done
it.
that.
yeah.
They
Those
should've done
$1
that.
comics that they're giving out right now, man. You could have put a bunch of those in a friggin' stand, stuck them up on the counter, and there you go. Give them away for free.
I don't know. Now, Art, you're from the West Coast, so maybe you didn't experience this, or maybe you did. But I remember when I was a kid, I don't know, around 10, 12 or something, early 80s, I think. And they were doing like a Marvel Day down at, was it the Garden? Maybe it was at the Garden. But it was a big venue in New York. And the family went over, and they were screening like Electric Company stuff with Spider-Man, and there were a whole bunch of little media and comic book and stuff like that. And Stan Lee was there, out in front as always, doing his thing, and they were handing out free comics to everybody who came in. I mean, they must have given away tens of thousands of them. Well, maybe not that many, but 10,000, I would say. That's how many people were walking around that place. Stan used to do this kind of stuff all the time, dude.
Yeah. Yeah, and Sequential Treasure said young kids today don't care for old things. They want something new, and old stuff is just worse to them. The problem is, though, some of those comics that we're talking about, like you look at like that dollar line that they're putting out, that like Jim Lee's X-Men #1, if you release, if someone who had never read a comic today, you put that out there, that thing still holds up today.
Well, I just want to say, like, it might be true to kids today, but it wasn't true when I was a kid, because the treasures were the older stuff when I was a kid.
Yeah.
If you had an older comic book, that was like treasure. And if you went to your friends and go, if it said 10 cents on it, your friend's like, oh my gosh, that's old. That's worth something. So it actually had the reverse. Like the newer comics weren't worth anything. Even when we were little kids, we wanted to read those older. I mean, we didn't discriminate really, but the value was really on the older book.
Well, not even just the value of it, just the impression of it. Like me and Todd were saying, if you took like during Infinity War, if you had the first Infinity Gauntlet comic, and you were just giving that away for free, that thing's, they're going to open it up, and you can recognize who those characters are. That's Thanos. That's Gamora. That's that's like it's going to be there. So it'd be like, oh, this is really cool. Let me go see if there's more of this.
Right. And Marvel and DC, they've both done these things.
Which is a baby.
What I see is the biggest problem is a lack of consistency and a lack of just continuing with it, because I've done free comic books. Like there was a preview, an X-Men preview in TV Guide. You guys remember TV Guide?
Mhm.
I did it with it was Chris Claremont writing, it was Salvador LaRocca doing breakdowns, and I did finishes. And it was an 8-page comic book that was packaged right in TV Guide. And then when the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man came out, there was like 4 or 5 covers that all came together, and there was Alex Ross. There was
I did a bunch of those. Actually.
It was like JR. There was me and Mark Bagley, and they all kind of connected together as one. So they have done these type of, and then Free Comic Book Day annually comes out. So they have done these things, but the problem is consistency. Like okay, you give kids a free comic book, but then you have to follow it up with something. You know what I mean? You can't just go, here's a free comic book, and then they'll go, oh, thank you, and then they'll read it, and then that'll be it. You have to follow it up. There has to be some kind of string attached. You know, there has to be
obviously the follow-up in something you give away is drive them where you want them to go next, whether that be something like a Marvel.com or whatever. But one of the other things I said in my post is, why don't Marvel and any of them have their own webtoons? Because everyone talks about how popular webtoons is, and webtoons is popular, but it's its own clientele. But why can't you use something like webtoons to prove a concept, right? You want to do Safe Space and Squirrel Girl and Sector? Prove it to me that it deserves to be in print because you did R&D on it. So start it here, right? Introduce the character on its own webtoon, see what kind of readership it has, and then go, look, they loved X, we're going to give them X. Or look, they love this, and we're going to give them that. And you know what? Not a one of them would ever do it, because they know that crap, even to the people that they're peddling it to directly, don't want that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, before we get too far off topic, which is fine, but before we get too far away from the topic, I'd really like to hear from Joe, because he's been chatting over here in the chat, and he should be speaking, but he's not speaking. He's not blinking. So we need Joe to say something.
Yeah, I'm really interested in Thunderbuns' take on this.
The electrified buttock is in the house, baby.
Yeah, I've just been enjoying the show, hanging with the chat, watching you guys engage in verbal fisticuffs. I did watch the entire stream, beginning to end. And one point that I haven't heard mentioned yet that I think should be mentioned is that even though your boy Zach got called out by Dan Shaheen, which, as I mentioned earlier in the stream, he did apologize for losing his cool. And I should also mention that Zach said in a video, I believe it was yesterday, that he and Dan spoke via email one-on-one, worked things out, and everything's cool between the two of them. So I was glad to hear that. And one thing that I hadn't heard mentioned yet in tonight's discussion is that Gary Groth from Fantagraphics, who I had never had any experience with in the old days when I was working in a shop in the 90s. But from what I've been told, he was quite a firecracker in his younger days. After Zach had made his comment about passivity from the publishers and Dan had his rant with Zach, I did notice a change in Gary, and I did notice him asking more pointed questions of Steve. And I'm curious if there was a third one of these, I guess you would say it would be number 2 with publishers. Maybe if Dan got other publishers in there. I'm curious if they would take their cue from Zach and from Gary and ask Jeppy more pointed questions. I don't know if they would. I would hope so, because my impression was that for the most part, it was the publishers essentially nodding and just going along with what Steve Jeppy was saying.
Well, that may be an interesting thing that was happening there. Like, one of them might have been waiting, like, I don't want to be the one to broach this subject, but I definitely want to talk about it. So maybe there was some there, because it did, at least to me, it did feel like they kind of wanted to break out of that, but they didn't know if they could. Which, again, that kind of like Todd said, that kind of falls on them. because it's like if you're really concerned about it, you need to speak up and say something about it. So,
well, also,
By the way, both
Gary.
Gary and Mike Richardson own their own store. By the way, just so you guys know, they have their own store or stores. I think
They are retailers as well. Yeah, yes.
Mike did, but he said he had to close the Dark Horse retail store. So I don't know if they're going to survive the pandemic. I hope so, but I don't know.
Well, actually, Spirit Car was making some points earlier. Sorry, Zach, regarding Dark Horse directly. Actually, Art. Sorry, Art.
Channel, man.
No, go ahead. Jeffrey.
No, I'm just saying that Spirit Car actually was mentioning earlier that Dark Horse is actually in a fairly good position compared to the other ones because some of the things they have going on. So
yeah, they're more diversified and they're well trenched in Hollywood. They have offices at Universal Studios. They're really in tight with Hollywood. So I don't think they're going to have a problem. But what I was going to say to Joe's, bringing up and everybody saying that if they did another one, that maybe they would get more into it. I don't think that that's what they want to do. I think by design, what Jeppy wants is to use these platforms as a way of saying everything is okay. I think that's all he wants.
Yeah, I agree.
Everything's okay. And then behind the scenes, he's going to deal with whatever it is that he has to deal with. But for people like us, we realize that it is what they want, because these guys all have what they want. There are other people that aren't doing well. They're the upper 10%. They're the upper whatever. So they don't want things to change because things pretty much are doing okay for them. You know what I mean? Financially and stuff. They have to kind of pacify to a certain extent. But if it went back to business as usual, I think they would be fine, because nobody was talking like this before the pandemic. I mean, Comicsgate we were talking about this stuff, but nobody else in the industry was talking about this stuff. So, they didn't want this change. They didn't want anything to happen. They want business as usual. So what I take from this is mostly they want everybody to calm down, and then they want to go back to business as usual. It's almost like virtue signaling. You know what I mean? Like, we're good guys and we want to take care of the industry while, the rest of the industry is crashing and burning. You know what I mean? Like they're up in, their ivory tower and they're okay.
But do these streams like this one that they did, do they at least, are they good in the fact that at least, even if they're not going to answer the chat or anything like that, they can see that there is people saying that, no, there's a problem here. So maybe there's at least something good coming out of it from that.
Because of people like us. Because people like us and Zach and even Nerdrotic and Clownfish TV, even Adam Post was in there, Sweetcast was in there, and they were asking some of the tougher questions. And I thought like some of the better stuff was actually in the chat.
Yeah,
more entertaining show in the chat. Yeah,
I have a question for all of you. Answer this one question: in the last 5 years, name one publisher that has gone out of business.
A publisher that's gone out of business in the last 20 years?
Publisher.
Well,
five. In the last 5. Name one publisher that went out of business in the last 5 years?
I can name a couple of them that should have gone out of business but got propped up from outside means.
I get that. I'm asking a question. Name one publisher that's gone out of business in the last 5 years.
Okay, what's your point? Nobody can.
Oni.
They're not hurting.
Oni
got acting like they're hurting.
Oni. Okay, Todd, but we talked about this last time. The industry is making money, but it's not sustainable.
Yes, some people
I understand that.
Yeah,
I understand that. But are they on a ride or die?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, dude, if you extend that to 10 years, we can throw Wildstorm in there.
What's the Well, I guess I'm confused by the question.
The point is, everyone acting like the industry is that those people are hurting. What is Zenoscope, right? All it is derivative comics.
Caliber derivative by the way in the past 5 years. Just so you know.
Caliber is actually still going, by the way, and they're from this area. So, who's hurting, right? Zenoscope puts crap out, nothing but crap. All it is a good cover and crap interior, right? So if it was so bad, they'd be dropping left and right. And right now they're not. And we talked about the revenue and the stuff last week. And that's my point is it won't change until it is actually really bad.
Yeah,
that's
but Todd,
and that's
they're
actually
not making
something I
their
was gonna
money off
ask.
of comics, Todd. They're not. They're making the money from other
Zenescope
places.
doesn't have
too.
anything else.
Zenescope
Well,
has, well, they have a couple of I think TV deals or something that they're trying to push, but no, they're mostly their comic revenue. Well, that's actually a good question I would like to put to you guys is like Todd said, that they're not going to do anything until they absolutely have to, until this thing is like literally on life support. Isn't that kind of the way most businesses do things in the modern era, that they'll push it till it's dead?
Well, you would hope that these leaders would course correct when they see the writing on the wall. You just don't see that, and I think that's where everybody's frustration's at right now, Bob, is because nobody's talking about like course correcting. Nobody's talking about any real significant change or even addressing the real problems. The real problems are we've specialized this industry we funneled it into such a small little direction, right, where the entire industry is reliant on retail stores, but not retail stores that are everywhere, not like Targets, not like Walmart's, not like these, but very, very specialty niche outlets, right? So all of our future is dependent on those shops. Well, those guys, for various reasons, could just be happy with the status quo as long as they can make enough to pay their rent and mortgage or whatever it is, and then pay for their stock, then they're fine. Everybody gets into these businesses for different reasons. Some people are more business minded and want more success, and some people are just kind of fine. What I've noticed in this industry, okay, this is gonna be bad. It's gonna sound bad. Okay, this is gonna sound horrible, actually. I've run a studio, Hack Studios, for 25, 30 years, okay? There are people that came in the studio and went, and a lot of people, more than stayed, came in because they were fans, and somehow they wanted to be close to the industry, right? They just wanted to kind of work out of a studio. It didn't matter what it was. They just kind of wanted to be here. You know what I mean? They wanted to do comics, but most of them didn't really hone their skills. They didn't work on anything. They were just happy being there. You know what I mean? They just liked hanging out where comics were being made at the studio.
Like a tick dug in.
Right. But there are like retailers. I've met a lot of these retailers, and I'm not saying it's bad. I'm just saying that there are people that are like this. And a lot of retailers that I've met in my time are fans that almost like for the lack of a better term, want to legitimize their fandom. You know what I mean? Like if you can turn your fandom into dollars, then you can legitimize that. You can go to your girlfriend and say, look, I make money doing this, you know? So she's not going to look at you like a weirdo because you got all these comic books. You know what I mean?
Like, she'll do that anyway. But
she'll do that anyway, except my wife. Yeah, she's awesome.
Oh, okay. All right. Oh, okay. Now you threw down the gauntlet.
I did. She loves comics.
I think, but like I said, I'm playing devil's advocate with that question there. But I think Todd's got a point in that they're not going to change, because as long as they can make money with it, why should they? You know,
the higher ups, yes,
Marvel. When that's what we're talking, we're looking to these people to be a leader and change the industry for the health of the industry. But kind of the way American business, and actually kind of business in most of the world, works is you do it till you can't. So
I don't know if all businesses run that way. I think poor businesses run that way, but I think successful businesses see trends and they shift and they change, and they're more progressive in their business model. This is a business model that hasn't changed. And just to make Todd's point, is that at one time, Steve Jeppe and having the monopoly was the savior of the industry, but it was very short term. It got us past a hard moment, but it wasn't long term. But there was nobody else that came up and said, this isn't working. This is short term. And I'll tell you right now, as soon as comic books went and they took away the newsstand and they went to direct market, I knew it was the beginning of the end. It took decades to get there, but it was the beginning of the end, because even I knew, as being, just a beginner in comic books and stuff, I knew was the beginning of the end. Because how do you get new readers in? Those niche retail stores, they don't even advertise, man. All their advertising is word of mouth. You know what I mean? Somebody buys comics there, and then they meet somebody at the schoolyard, and they're like, "Where'd you get that?" "Oh, I got that over at Comics Seller or whatever." These different outlets are called, and then they get turned on and so on and so forth. But most of the time, those guys don't advertise. The only time I usually see retailers advertise is for Free Comic Book Day. Because that's the day that the rest of the industry says, this is our big day. You know what I mean? So they give them permission to actually spend some money and advertise and get people into the shop. But most of the time, I've seen those shops. I've went to Free Comic Book Day. A lot of those guys, it's basic business 101. They don't sell anything. They're just giving away comics. I see it. All those guys do is they go through the lines, they get their freebies. And if somebody there, like me, that did one of the comics, they'll get it signed and then they'll move on. But the smart retailers that I've even Free Comic Book Day, they'll have a back inventory of our Thibert books or Chris Claremont books or whoever is there at the signing, because they can sell back issues and then those people can get them signed. So these people are more forward thinking. They're thinking like business people, because like I said, most of the Free Comic Book Days that I've seen, those customers are just bopping through the lines. They heard the advertisement, free comics. They go in there, they get their free cookie, they get their Kool-Aid, and then they get their comics and then they bail. They don't buy anything.
Now, Joe, just real quick, I don't know if you have this information, but do you have any understanding of what the percentage is of people buy new comics compared to back stock, old issues?
That's a great question.
Hold on a second.
I don't have exact statistics.
Great question.
I do know that there have been an increase in shops that have gone to back issues only in the last 2 to 3 years. That's a great question. I wish I had the answer, but I'm not sure.
Yeah.
So but somebody in the chat, I just read it, probably won't be able to find it. Holy Goat says, how many comic shops have gone out of business in the past?
4,000.
Well, I think it's 4,000 in the last 10 years, but I think in the last 5 years, it's been well over 2.
Yeah, that's a lot.
That's all. Yeah, and what was I think there was somebody actually came out and literally said that there was a cutoff of if it falls below 2,400 or something like that, or was it 1,900?
Okay, just based on this fact alone, this is a fact. Did the comics industry course correct? Did they course correct? No. Did Marvel double down on SJW politics? Yes, they did. Like, this is how do you help somebody who doesn't even want to help themselves? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is bullshit. But there's people like us that are left holding the bag, and retailers that actually want to sell books and actually want to succeed, but they're just not given product that they can do that with.
But even if they did have product on, just to like again play devil's advocate, even if they did have product, if they're not going to advertise for themselves and whatnot, like you said, unless it's Free Comic Book Day, where does the complicity lie? It lies everywhere.
There's a disconnect between all aspects of the comic book world, if you ask me. The creators, the people who are funding and backing it, the publishers, the distributors, and of course the fans. And it's basically a dysfunctional family that has been going on for quite a while. And the past 3 to 5 years has been the worst case of it. Now, I understand Todd wanting to defend the solvency of the comic book industry. I get it. But the simple fact of the matter is, you can't make an argument that the comic book industry is healthy, because it's not. It's very unhealthy. It's cancerous. And I don't blame these guys for making an attempt to find a new audience. It's kind of like Kathleen Kennedy, which we'll segue into eventually. She doesn't even understand why people like Star Wars. And she wanted to sell to the future that would be Star Wars, not these old stupid people who like it from the past. And you have this disconnect between that. And they tried and they failed. And they need to backpedal, and they need to get back to their customers and start making some money and doing things that are about the future as i.e., trying to sell comics to kids again, man. It's outrageous. You have kids, all kids around the world know, even my kids here in the little countryside of Japan know what Marvel is.
Mm-hmm.
They know what Marvel is, but they're not selling anything to them, dude. They're not pushing it.
Yeah.
They're not trying. It's a huge marketing error. And if I were in charge, people would be fired. Understand that.
Yeah, and sequential treasures actually makes a good point. He says comics aren't their own entertainment form anymore. They're just a small cog in a giant corporate entertainment machine. It's not an industry more. It's just an IP form. It's more and more. It's starting to push in that direction.
But
Yeah,
I'll tell you,
movies-
just from an insider point of view,
Mhm.
it's been that for a long time. When I broke into DC Comics, they were saying the only reason that Warner Brothers even has DC is for IP, is for marketing and licensing. They don't make any money off the comic books. When I started 35, 36 years ago, this was common knowledge. So DC was always just a tax write-off for Warner Brothers as a parent company. And I don't think things have changed that much as far as their corporate overlords. Marvel never had, like Disney, but they've always had corporate overlords. They were owned by, was it New Line, or they were owned by a film company prior. They've been owned by Revlon. They've been owned by a toy company. They've been owned by so many different companies since I've been working in comic books, but never a corporate overlord like Disney. And that is major power. And also, they didn't have that kind of big screen success back then. So part of it is true, but part of it isn't as well, because I think DC has always been what, like they have always been just
I've always been looking outside, you mean?
What's that?
I've always been
Just
looking outside at other
beyond the
venues.
comic book, yeah.
But you being having been entrenched in that industry for so long, Art, when the comics boom happened in the 80s and the 90s, when they actually did become a viable and their own industry, did the attitude change at all in that? Or
Warner Brothers shit their pants is what happened when they did the Death of Superman. They had a fucking hit on their hands and they didn't know what to do. I'm serious. They didn't know what to do, because all of a sudden they had to treat DC Comics in a different light than they had done before. And they had to think about that company in a different way. And the other thing that shook up the corporate overlords is when they killed Robin, because they did not have Warner Brothers, seal of approval on that. And they killed Robin. And then Warner Brothers was like, IP farm, what are we going to do? There's billions of dollars in licensing Robin. What are we going to do if he's dead? You know what I mean?
Sad.
Yeah, and fans voted it.
Yeah, let me put this concept forward.
Devil's advocate, Bob.
Right. But let me put this little bit of concept forward as far as marketing goes, right, and selling your product beyond simply trying to use it as an IP farm. If you think about it, we talk about, and we kind of complain sometimes when we watch a movie or some such thing, and we see product placement. Coca-Cola, Doritos, Miller, whatever. But why do they do that? Well, they do that because they want to keep it in the zeitgeist of the culture, right? And why doesn't Marvel do things like this? Why don't we see
paid a bunch of money to do that? Those are sponsorships.
Yeah,
film companies are making bank off of it.
When the Marvel movies came out, why didn't they have them in their movies? Like the kids are going, Captain America, it's awesome. And Cap's like walking by going, yeah, that's me.
Fox did though. Fox
they did.
Yeah. Now, to keep in mind, though, let's take a look at some of the what's going on in the world today and what's really popular with kids. Now, what if Marvel spent some money and they put comic books in Animal Crossing or Fortnite? The kids, that's a kids game. They're all over the place.
That's what I said the other day.
Right.
Why not give, for instance, here was my idea, right? Come over.
Technically my idea, but
I said this yesterday. Come over to Marvel.com, download or purchase one comic, and you get a free avatar clothing for your
for Fortnite. Yeah, go buy this issue of Deadpool, and you can get Deadpool in Fortnite.
Yeah, you get Marvel shirt for your character. But I was saying, and I agree, Todd, and I think everyone here agrees. Why aren't they doing this? It wouldn't cost them that much money to throw a little bit of Fortnite, because Fortnite would probably love the freaking the advertisement to have Marvel or DC
I just
or
need
whatever.
to let you know that's exactly what they did.
Did they?
they did.
Did they do that?
Yeah, you. I'm gonna have to admit everybody to something to everybody. I play Fortnite.
That's a kid's game.
Get rid of him.
It wasn't a kid's
What?
game. It was not a kid's game when it first came out. It was it was supposed to be a more zombie oriented defender, and it was actually it was very adult.
This
Yeah,
sounds
very
backpedaling.
And it was
actually-
not until it decided
Dude, my
to go Battle
elementary
Royale.
school kids play that game.
No. It was not.
You
No, hold on,
abuser.
hold on,
You child abuser.
Hold on. It was not until they started Battle Royale that all of a sudden it became popular to the point where kids started playing. But for like a whole almost 2 years, it had no
right.
Battle Royale, and it was actually it was
became
very
a kid's
dark.
game. Yeah.
If you play the story, it's a very dark story too.
It was a zombie game when it first came out. I remember
Yeah.
when I saw the trailer for it.
So calm your tits.
No, well,
Well, no,
you're
here's the
right.
thing. Well, the question I have for you is,
Well, Bullet, you are right. Fortnite doesn't need the help. Comics do. That's my point,
Yeah,
dude.
but the skin that you get, do you have to go and buy a comic to get it?
No, that's the thing. That there's a missed opportunity.
Yeah, okay.
I'm just saying that
yeah, I knew
like
the skin was there.
yeah, that they're advertising like as in these comic characters. They recently had it was actually it wasn't the what was it? They did do it Deadpool. That's actually in the most recent season. Is that you can get Deadpool, and they also did Psylocke, and what is the other one? What is the other one? That was in the movie with Deadpool.
Well, it's probably Captain Marvel. It's always Captain Marvel.
Well, no, they do have that too. They
They have
Thanos thing.
Harley Quinn too, don't they?
Yeah, they
of
did.
course.
But
see, that's not what that is. The opposite of what we're talking about. That is not promoting the comic book. That is promoting the IP. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is it they didn't? It's that's why I said it's a missed opportunity. Is because they have the characters in there. So
Awesome.
Kids are seeing these characters, but they don't know that it's from a comic book. They think it's from the movie or the game or something. You know what I mean?
Well, somebody in the chat, or it was Chester, or both, said there is a disconnect in the industry. This goes further into the disconnect, right?
Yeah.
Like everything that we're saying, there's a complete disconnection between all these different pieces. And if they could actually start crossing over, or if somebody in one of these companies had some kind of vision, they could start connecting these dots. And if you could start connecting these dots, then you could actually equate that to success. You could build some success from it.
And just kind of to take a step back from what we were talking about earlier before, Art, are we wrong to think about the comic book industry as having been its own industry and having been co-opted by these people, or that the fact that it's always been a part of that?
Okay, I think that's what he's saying. Yeah, that's interesting.
There's kind of a two-prong answer to that. Marvel, and the reason they were probably always more successful in the day is because they were fairly independent. Marvel always stayed in the publisher's row in New York City. They wanted to be lean and mean. They wanted to put out comic books. You know what I mean? Like they were bottom line oriented. They had to make it work and to justify their existence, because there was no real parent company that was, really supporting them. But DC was always more of a corporate entity. They have they used to, upstate New York address. They were in the Time Warner building, and they always had more of a corporate presence. DC was always suit and tie. Marvel was always, roll up your sleeves and get things done kind of company. So the difference was, Marvel now is owned by
a massive corporate entity.
Right. So it has shifted and it has changed. And you're seeing, I think that's why you're seeing so many fundamental changes and differences that are happening. Because there's part of me that doesn't believe that this is coming from internally. Like this isn't creators going, let's do more safe space books and let's do this. My gut says that this is a corporate social experiment. This is these corporate heads that want to fundamentally change morality. and they want to do that, and they want to do it in the easiest way possible. Because if they do it with comic books and they do it with these smaller little, like people that aren't really going to fight back, that don't have much of a voice and don't have much of a power, and they can kick their asses, well, then that's one more notch, and then so on and so on. So they go for the weakest, and then they build up.
But you see, the problem with that, though, Art, is that's punching down. That's picking on the weak, kind of like Zach beating up babies. We can't have that. Can't have that.
Tastes like chicken. But that's actually interesting, Art, because
aim it that way.
I know one of the big complaints from a lot of people is that the artwork, the quality of the books have just gone downhill, and that the artwork has become much more simplistic and doesn't have that punch to it.
Well, when CB came back, it got better, though, dude.
It did
give credit where it's due.
It did to an extent, but he also went back and got some of those older creators to come in and do things, though.
He did.
So but I actually found out, and like I said, from a couple of people, including Dave Finch, that's actually done by intention. They have like, I didn't know this, but they have agents in other countries and whatnot. And if you notice, a lot of these artists that are working on these books are coming out of places like Brazil. And some of those artists in there, they're capable of doing a much more detailed, much more impactful art style, but they're being told not to, because the corporate heads on high are saying, because we have this flood to shelf marketing scheme, we don't really care about that. We just want a book that we can put out.
Yeah.
And if you could pump that thing out, that's how you get work.
Right.
But
they're
it's
actually
also
being
the
told
Steven
to
Universe
simplify it.
influence as well, though. Steven Universe is a big part of it.
Well, that's a part of it too, because again, coming from on high, they see that going, well, see, that's what's selling right now, in other mediums. So that's why a lot of that kind of thing is changed. And I think, and the fact that this is like you said, Art, that this is coming from like an on high corporate thing. That's got to be that's part of it. So I was just really interested in, because I guess maybe I'm one of those people that had the misconception that at one point, especially like in the 80s and 90s, that Marvel and DC were completely their own entities. And
Marvel
but it seems like
more so than DC, yeah.
But it seems like that maybe this corporate thing has been something that's been a long time coming for much longer.
Yeah, well, let's kind of start steering it into a different direction. The title was "The Truth Behind the Collapse of Geek Culture." So there were many different things that we wanted to cover that all seemingly fall under that umbrella.
I have a sexy segue.
Okay. This is going to be hot, right? This is going to turn Bob on. Right?
I put the word "sexy" after it, the adjective.
Okay, so this is a hot redhead, right?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, so we're going to.
Is she Asian?
She may be Asian. She's definitely not of this world. She's definitely not of this world. Okay, but she is hotter than shit. Okay, here we go.
Boom!
God damn it. Just
2 weeks. 2 weeks. She looked like she just ate Bob. Actually, I don't know.
Man.
I want the buttered noodles.
I love comics. Really, she doesn't love comics.
No, that's the sad thing, dude. So many people that are involved in stuff and they don't have a love for it. It's not just comic books. We see it all over the place, right? And of course, the segue into Kathleen Kennedy is a perfect example. She has no love for Star Wars at all. From her own mouth, she said multiple times, it's not hidden.
Well, what is the other one now? Is Leslie? What is her name? I gotta.
Edlund.
Oh, please don't.
Leslie Edlund.
Yeah, Headland. But the thing that came out this week, and I absolutely applauded. This is where YouTubers like ourselves are kicking ass, and they put so much pressure. The Fandom Menace and stuff put so much pressure on Disney and Star Wars that finally, I'm sure Joe knows the executive at Disney. He whistled. He just went out and he threw Kathleen Kennedy under the bus. And I'll tell you, it's not getting a lot of press right now, but holy shit, I was like, yes, finally vindication. So Joe, do you want to fill us in on that story?
Sure. Yeah, I wasn't able to pull up the exact interview where the guy was giving all the details before I joined the stream. but essentially there is a guy who was the head of Disney Imagineering, which if anybody in the
I'm sorry.
All right. I apologize. I got medicine, Art. I got medicine. Fix him up. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, Joe. I saw these in the chat.
That's okay.
Go ahead, Art. I got medicine for him. I apologize.
Yeah, we all cope in our own ways, Art. No worries.
The sexy redhead. Yeah, so poor Spirit's card. Yeah.
I got a sexy red dress for you, Art.
Okay. Man, we're stepping all over Joe right now. All right.
Okay, chat. Better chat. All right, go ahead, Joe.
There's a problem.
Sorry.
She's Asian.
We call that bleaching the eyeballs.
Yeah.
She's adorable. How dare you?
She
Yeah,
is.
she is
beautiful. Yeah.
Don't tell my wife I said that.
I could never have you.
You know what, Bob? You're too good for her.
Oh no. I'm sorry, Joe.
Me,
Joe, go
Gordon,
ahead,
it just
Joe.
makes
Yeah.
it worse.
Yeah, Knox9 says I'd step all over Joe for that too. Sequential Treasure says that's a nice palate cleanser.
Thank you.
Chester's
All
got
right.
fans in the chat tonight.
You know what
I
Chester
know.
does is Chester gives and then he takes away. Or in
I
this
do.
case, he takes away and then he gives.
Yeah. I even have the Zeus hair going on.
Yeah, don't get sick.
Yeah, so I was saying that there's this guy who was the head of Disney Imagineering, which for those in the chat, if you aren't up on all the Disney lore, the Imagineers are the engineers and project managers and concept designers who develop rides and attractions at Disneyland. And so there was an interview recently with a guy who had been, I can't remember if he was the head of Imagineering at Disneyland in Anaheim, California, or Walt Disney World in
Florida. Yeah.
Okay, Orlando, Florida. Okay. So he, after leaving Disney, had opened up in this interview about what the decision-making process was like when it came to Galaxy's Edge and quote unquote Star Wars Land at the Disney parks. And he was saying that absolutely the plan was originally to do an attraction and rides based on the original Star Wars trilogy. And in one of the meetings with the bigwigs, Kathleen Kennedy essentially piped up and said, well, why are we trying to cater to these 55-year-old fans when there's so many more younger fans that are going to want the new stuff and they're going to be around for much longer and spend so much more money? So why don't we do Star Wars Land for the new trilogy and reach the new younger fans?
Right.
And to make a long story short, she got some pushback on that. She pushed back harder and went to Bob Iger. She got what she wanted, and Iger is the one who said, okay, we're going to go with the sequel trilogy stuff. They actually had already done a lot of pre-production or development work on the original attraction.
Yeah, years of pre-production.
Years worth.
And also, on the surface, her pitch was not a bad idea, but it was all or nothing. And I don't think
if they had made good movies, it would have worked. They made 3 bad movies.
And also, if the agenda wasn't there, that was driven by her. So she did have a master plan. So it's not a bad business strategy. Like, we're making 3 new movies. Let's try to tie the park into those things as well. But you don't excuse or you don't not acknowledge the past. You know what I mean? So they tried to hedge their bets all on this new thing. And the reason it's so funny for me is that she was like the Force is feminine, and she made all this kind of, agenda driven, declarations. And then, a few years later, we see the whole thing collapse. And most of it wasn't necessarily trying to merge these two ideas, the old and the new, which is a good idea. That's how you move it forward. But to make it agenda driven and to have that much contempt for like so much contempt that you could cut it with a knife. Like you watch those movies and you see the hate for the original, Star Wars, killing off all the principal characters, not giving any fans any beat that would possibly be cool for them. Like there isn't one beat that Luke, Han, or Leia does in that movie that is even close to being cool. You know what I mean?
And you can look at the things that they've done since this situation. You can see just how much she hates the original Star Wars. There's that new book that just came out where they literally try to rewrite Star Wars history and say that Luke Skywalker doesn't matter, and say that Jyn Erso is the great hero. There's literally there's a book where the character says, oh no, Luke Skywalker only fired the final shot. It was Jyn Erso who destroyed the Death Star. She's the real hero. And this is the problem. This is the same problem I have with Marvel and their legacy stuff. You don't have to tear down the original to lend legitimacy to the new.
Exactly. It doesn't have to be an either or.
Yeah. And like the guy said, they wanted to kind of incorporate both into this thing going forward. She was like, no, it's all or nothing.
And then what she did is she hired a bunch of guest people to gather around so she could have some kind of power, and was firing other people to get that agenda across. And she did enough damage that she actually put herself into a position of power even after she should have been fired. If this was anybody else, they would have been fired. The head of that whole, what was it called? Galaxy's Edge was a female, and she got fired, but nobody knew who she was. So they could kind of sweep that under the carpet. But could you imagine trying to fire Kathleen Kennedy? Holy shit, man.
Oh, I'd fire in a heartbeat.
But she would have devastated Disney. Could you imagine that hate she would have brought down? Holy crap.
but you can give as much as you get. But I want to take a little bit. We've talked about this many times, this same angle, and that's fine. There's a slightly different angle that I'm sure Joe is going to lay out very clearly for us. But I was thinking maybe we could take a slightly different angle and think about this. Where exactly is this coming from? Now, Kathleen Kennedy has been in the industry for a very long time. She started back with Spielberg, and she had her opportunity. She's been around Lucas. She's been around these guys for a long, long time. Where exactly did this, let's be fair, this man-hating coming from? Where exactly did this rise itself along the way? Is this actual feminism, or is this she's angry with George for something that happened in the past or something like that?
Some kind of vindictiveness, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, because that's kind of, women can do that. They hold a grudge, right? Sorry, ladies, I love you. But along another angle of this thinking and this ability not to understand the human mind, and if you're going to produce visual media, you need to understand the psychology of the thing, right? And if you understand, women hate each other. That's why female leads rarely are successful. You have to make a female lead that the men are going to get behind, because the women won't usually support them, right? And that's why Luke is such a popular character, because the women love him because he's cute and he's vulnerable and he becomes a hero. And for the guys, it's very similar. It's a young dude that we can put ourselves in his shoes, that is going along an adventure, who ends up becoming a hero eventually by earning it, right? The hero's journey. These are why these things work so well. But yet they have gone with a formula that we know doesn't work, has never worked, but yet she just bit a hole into it. Is it just incompetence, or is there something more and something deeper going on from the past? Of course, we don't have an answer to that, but it just feels more insidious because she's almost like a plastic or a fake feminist. It's kind of like Anita Sarkeesian. She's a fake gamer. Right.
Well, I have a bigger question for the chat, and then we can go back to Chester's. Okay, you guys have to sleep with one of these women. Which one would it be?
Oh, the left. No, easy.
Yeah.
The one with
twice on Sunday and once on Wednesday. I'm kind of busy Wednesday.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think which one it would be over with faster.
Oh no, dude. The one on the left, you could play with her for a good couple hours. It'd be good.
Oh
Let's
my
see
God.
where's my wife?
Wow. I was gonna say you better look over your shoulder, man.
Yeah.
The other room.
Okay, and in case somebody else, in case somebody sees this later, they understand we're kidding.
Of course, we're kidding. Yeah.
Yeah. This wasn't
It's,
even a real
it's-
question. This was just, I just thought I'd Chester
Yeah.
here. You
Yeah,
know,
Wait, but
it's a joke. We're
yeah,
gonna be
but that
telling a lot
girl's
of
not
them
a
here.
feminist anyway. Look at her. That's just a girl who's happy to have a job working for Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah.
That's not a feminist. They don't look like that. That's a cute girl. Boys love her, and she loves boys.
Well,
Okay,
and that actually goes back to
I know the girl on the right hand side. I do have to say I kind of like her just because she looks like she's trying to get distance from Kathleen Kennedy.
Yeah, she's got a little space.
she's like, yeah, hey, don't touch me.
Yeah, she's kind of pulling away from Kathleen.
Yeah. Anyway, I agree with you, man. And I honestly, I think she's using this whole feminist thing as a tool. She's using it as a tool to kind of like beat her true intentions down, which it almost seems like she wants to replace George Lucas as as the figurehead of Star Wars.
Well, think about this, okay? So she is a power to be reckoned with because we've already stated she couldn't be fired. So if Disney execs had fired her, then there would be a whole domino effects that would happen, right? But if you think about it, the way it all played out for her, the only reason she has a job is because she played that feminist power card, right? So she, let's just hypothetically, let's armchair, like this. Let's just say she has no creative input, right? She is creatively a void. She has no ideas. She has no concept. She has no direction to take this in. And she's also has, maybe Chester's right, she has a little bit of disdain for Lucas. Maybe she's like, I'm in power now, so we're going to do it my way, but not really having a direction or a way to do it. So then she's stubborn. She's not going to go to George, even though she should have, or anybody at Lucasfilm that was more qualified and run these things by them and then create a new Star Wars based on that. No, he was like an island. I'm going to surround myself with powerful people and I'm going to do my own thing. And then since I played the feminist card and I played all this agenda stuff, if they try to fire me, it's going to be practically impossible. So you see right now with this, what is her name? Leslie
Headland.
Now she's flexing her muscles right now. She's actually not going quietly. She's not bowing out. She's still trying to get things going. And the only reason she has power is because they don't want the publicity nightmare of firing her. That's the only reason.
Well, I forgot what I was going to say. It's almost like, and here's the situation. I honestly think that the major reason, God. The reason why I think Kathleen Kennedy failed is because she tried to be George Lucas, and I think from all the records and everything that we've seen in the past, she's a fairly good executive, but she's not. She's just not a creative.
Right,
exactly. She tried to be him, and she failed at it. And
I think she knew she wasn't.
I think, exactly. I think she knew. But the problem is, and here's the thing: if we're being completely honest, George Lucas isn't George Lucas anymore. Okay, so what she should have done is she should have went out and got herself and surrounded herself with talent who understood what Star Wars was, so then she could move it forward. But she didn't do that.
No, and there's a couple of reasons why I said that, but as an aside, hello, Peter. Nice to see you. By the way, Peter, if you send hats, we will all wear them and advertise for you freely. We will.
Oh, hell yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
I'll wear your hat any day.
I ain't wearing shit.
I'll even wear a Peter Smetty mask, dude. I'll do it. You'll have like gray fuzzy thing coming out on the bottom. It'll work. But no. Here's the reason I said that though, Bob, was because if we look at the styles of Spielberg compared to Lucas, who she has most of her experience with, right? Mm-hmm. Spielberg is known for being that everyone loves, get along guy, that everyone does what he wants in the end because they love him. Right? That's Steven Spielberg, right? Lucas is known to be infrickin' tolerable.
Yeah.
right? And I'm just speculating, right? And this thing up here that was said earlier by Spirit Car, which there's some great comments in the chat. This is good chat, dude. Women do hate other women, but this new wonky narrative that women don't want to see other women is suspect. Remember inane chick flicks with mediocre looking actresses, Julia Roberts, Sandra Bullock, dude. Though they didn't go, those women didn't go to want to see that for the women. They want to go there to see it for Richard Gere, dude.
Yeah,
It has nothing to do with the women.
Gere and Keanu Reeves.
And what have you. Yeah. It has nothing to do with the women. Those women are there to see someone maybe be attracted for the guy who got dragged along to the chick flick.
Art,
right?
Could you highlight Mighty Joe Young's comment there?
I knew you. I
the one that says, "Who cloned Rosie O'Donnell?"
Oh no, I thought you were
Oh
going,
man.
Bring up Headland's picture again.
Wait. Where is it?
In the private chat, I've got a link to another great picture of Leslie Headland for those who aren't quite sure who she is.
I can't find it. Where is it? Is it after this one?
It's in the private chat. In the private chat, link it.
Yeah, Mighty Joe Young, who cloned Rosie O'Donnell?
Yeah. Mighty Joe Young said, "Who cloned Rosie O'Donnell?" It's like 4 up.
Okay.
Listen.
Yeah.
Okay. Rosie O'Donnell, but instead she ate salad instead of cake.
Yeah.
And relevant to the Star Wars discussion, when Leslie Headland was asked in a red carpet interview,
that's sexy version,
what was her favorite Star Wars
loving that
movie?
That's all on you, baby.
That's troll level, man. Literal troll.
I'm sorry, I had to override you, my friend.
Thank you, Art.
Okay, you know the thing that killed everybody in the ring? That was it.
Bob's gone. Yeah, he's gone. Sorry, Joe. Go ahead, Joe.
I was just going to say that when Leslie Headland was in a red carpet interview and asked which was her favorite Star Wars films, she said, I don't have a favorite film because
oh yeah,
I just want to live in the world of Star Wars.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Someone bring up that damn interview. Listen to her. I don't know, we'll probably get copyright struck, but
she drank the Kool-Aid, Joe. She drank the Kool-Aid.
No, dude, go listen to this woman speak. She sounds like a damn Valley girl. It's insanely annoying. She's like, oh my god, I want to be in the moment. It's like, oh my god. She literally sounds like this. I'm not exaggerating at all.
Yeah.
And Joe's right. She has no clue.
She says, "Oh, thank you, Queen Kathy. I'll work on whatever you let me work on."
Yeah.
How do you become a writer and a showrunner and your English is that bad that you're using all the time?
You fail up. You fail straight up.
When she was on that live interview where she was sitting down, she did a lot of this in thinking about what she wanted to say. That's not professional at all to be on TV.
Yeah. So
you're talking about somebody that has only done 3 projects and only one of them was a legit movie.
Right. But I want to back up on Kathleen Kennedy for a minute. She actually was married to what's his name, Kennedy, the Spielberg producer.
Frank Kennedy.
Yeah. So if we actually connect some dots, it might have been because of friend.
Oh, she backdoored her way in. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Frank Marshall.
Hold on a second.
It's Frank Marshall.
Frank Marshall. Yeah.
It's what's his name, Kennedy though. There's a Marshall producer, but there's Kennedy too, and he does all the Spielberg films. And I do believe she was married to that guy. So I'm not saying that she married a powerful guy and that's how she got in. But when you see how her career has paid off, when the spotlight was just on her, when she didn't have the shadow of Spielberg or Lucas or any of these other things, and she could succeed or fail on her own merits, this is what happened.
Yes.
Yeah. And by the way, Spirit Car said Fried Green Tomatoes was all chicks, Steel Magnolias was all chicks. No man wanted to see those movies, but those movies were well done.
They were.
And that's why they succeeded.
Yeah, and she's
by those movies.
Now, understand, whereas Kathleen Kennedy clearly is not a full-on feminist, in my opinion. She just joined in the pageant. But this Headland lady, that's a man hater right there.
Yeah,
that's a full-on feminist. She's not playing, dude.
Well, I think that Leslie, isn't she either bisexual or she's a lesbian?
Yeah, she's
Oh
like,
God, what's
she's
the
very-
difference?
Jesus.
Which direction is the wind blowing today? You know, that's what determines most of these people's sexuality is like.
That's why I don't wear shorts, Bob.
You do have a
I
fine
don't want to
accent.
know what that means, so don't explain it, please.
All right, so just real quick, has anybody watched or read Happy?
Oh yeah.
No.
Why does this feel like that? Where there's this entertainer in a position, and maybe she's got tapes on all these guys.
She's got some
Yeah.
dirt.
She got some dirt. You know?
No, the dirt is feminism. The dirt is if
No.
if you back out on this, it's gonna wreck you.
Or do you
I'll
think
tell
it
you
was like?
that's right. She has to have all the dirt. I mean, for decades, she worked very close with those guys, so she knows everything behind the scenes of those guys.
Well, let me do a search. Bob Iger sexy.
Oh,
But
It's my favorite adjective.
by the way, while Chester's doing that, can we all just take a moment to bow our heads in reverence and remember Roy Horn from Siegfried and Roy, dead at
No way.
75.
He passed away, did he?
He gave it up.
Yep, dead at 75 because of COVID.
No way, really?
Yeah.
Oh man, that's sad. I found Bob Iger sexy, by the way, on that sad note.
Okay, so this is the Bob Iger sexy image. So when you type in Bob Iger sexy, this is what comes up.
Yeah.
Right, Chester? Is that
That's
what
right. That was
Okay.
the second one. The second one. Yeah.
Bob Iger sexy.
no! What's wrong with it?
Oh,
Oh my gosh!
Happy
Marty
normal.
Feldman, God bless you.
Happy
Yes.
normal.
A face,
Couple of nasty looking switches over here, but I'm not gonna be the first.
a face,
It's pronounced Igor.
They said it was Eagle. Well, they were wrong then, weren't they?
a face only Kathleen Kennedy could love.
It's one of those deep fakes, right?
Oh.
My gosh, comedic gold. You're on fire, Chester. You're on fire.
Thank you. Thank you.
I'd rather look at Marty Feldman than Leslie Headland, to be honest.
Wait, let's find Leslie Headland again, and we'll do a comparison.
Okay. All right. Here we go. I got her. She's no. Where'd she go? I put her.
And in the interviews that I've seen from her, she just seems absolutely fake from beginning to end.
Oh yeah.
My limited time in Hollywood when my wife and I were pitching IPs, there are people like this all over the place. They're just opportunistic. That's all. They don't care what the IP, they don't care what the product is. All they care about is building a resume, and that's all they do. And we're also neglecting the fact that she has ties to
Harvey Weinstein.
Harvey Weinstein.
Oh yeah. We haven't
Oh,
got
He was
into
his
that.
personal assistant for like, what was it, like 7 or
Why
8
is this
years?
turning into tinfoil cap?
Oh, boom shakalaka, baby. Yeah. Yeah.
What the?
She's trying way too hard here, man.
This is her Tinder profile.
You know what?
Yeah.
Check it out, ladies. You can have all of this.
This is
It's
last.
like Vincent D'Onofrio.
This is last call in a bar, and you're just like, well, I guess.
Private pile in a wig.
That's about 10 beers deep, I'd say, Art, to be honest with you.
It would take more than 10 beers.
What's the meme with that dude with like the red face and he's drunk?
The guy with the red face.
Which one?
Irishman?
Wow. You went there, did you not? The most racist
Did
guy.
that without blackface on.
Hey, I'm an Irishman, kind of. I'll take it. I'm half Irish, half Norwegian. Thank you very much.
Okay.
That's a lethal
Art, I'm going to
combo,
share a
right?
picture. I'm going to share something. Hang on, man. I am at. It's my turn to be funny.
Okay.
Spirit Star can't stop. He's like, those eyes, those eyes. You guys are going to have nightmares. Thank you. And you got to have
Yeah.
Chester to blame.
I'm here to serve. Go ahead, Bob. We're waiting on you.
In the
Okay.
meantime, here's some nightmare fuel.
I shared it.
Okay, where is it? Oh, is that it? Wait, what
Yeah.
is?
All right, look at her face. Now look at this guy's face.
Oh.
The dead eyes.
Oh. No, I see the comparison.
Wait, it's a
Dude,
man.
this guy went and got him made himself a tranny. She's a tranny.
It's a man, baby.
Yep.
Yeah, like bring up that one picture where she's all like, ha.
Jesus. But this I think the fact they're talking about the we just kicked Joe right out. Keep an eye; he might want to come back. This woman is an absolute threat to any possible future of Disney because she is a true believer, right? And the problem with her is that she is going to, as with the writing team that Kathleen Kennedy put together and such, their agenda is not to be successful, not to make money. It is to push their activism. Right.
Yeah.
Which in and of itself, it doesn't have to be a problem if it is managed properly from the top, but it's not being managed properly from the top. And I've made this statement before, and I got a little flack from you guys for doing so. But I've posed the question: is this all Kathleen Kennedy, or is she simply doing exactly what Bob Iger wants her to do?
No, you didn't get any flack from me because remember, you and I both put our tinfoil hats on, and we were almost in complete agreement that it feels political. It feels like a bigger agenda because what I always do, and we talked about this, follow the money. Follow the money. The only one that's going to really benefit from this is Bob Iger because Bob Iger wants to throw his hat in the political arena.
Yeah.
So if he can start changing the way we fundamentally think about what's right or wrong, what morality is, what sexuality is, all this stuff, then guess what? He has influence and he can go in and he can do whatever he wants as far as a political platform.
I've got a little bit of insight there. It was last year. Actually, this would have been in mid 2018, I believe. Mm-hmm. There were some leaks from Disney corporate. It's been too long. I don't have a link that I can drop in the chat for this, but if you want to go searching, I'm sure you'll find it. There were some leaks from Disney corporate, and there's some speculation that may have come from Iger himself that he searched high and low through Hollywood trying to find a replacement for Kathleen Kennedy, and he came just shy of begging several people, including Kevin Feige, to take Kathleen Kennedy's job, and he was turned down repeatedly, and people just told him over and over, there's just not enough money you could pay me to try and take over for her after what she's done to Star Wars.
Yeah.
And so the unofficial report from multiple sources has been that after striking out, Iger essentially went back and told the Disney board, sorry guys, I tried, but we're stuck with her. We're just going to have to ride this out till our contract's up.
And that's when they just depowered her, right? That's when they took her power away.
Correct.
Iger stepped in and kind of ran the show. Well, if this is indeed truth, then I have more faith in Iger. But like I said,
I have no faith in Iger because if you read his book, he even says that he's like, we knew we weren't going to go with what Lucas was giving us.
Yeah, but at least the tinfoil hat theory kind of starts falling apart, that it's agenda driven as far as like political aspirations, or does it? Does that null and void?
I think part of it's still Iger, but there's other people below that, other people there besides Iger that are part of that power zeitgeist. So I think as a collective they have a perception of where they want to go with things, and that's kind of filtering down, and she's definitely feeding off of it, but I don't think it's 100% her.
And
somebody's got to sign off on that.
Right.
Well, Iger is definitely hard left. I mean, he has shown that despite his big business ways, there are a lot of people that are pretty far left who are in big business. And I find it somewhat disingenuous that they seem to go from centrist to really rich to then far left, because it's really convenient to be a far leftist after you've already made many, many millions through the capitalistic system, and then to preach about far leftist ideology. But
unless you're fundamentally trying to change people just to change them, just to as a power trip, that type of thing. Because I don't know if a lot of these people believe it or not. Like you said, there's the hypocrisy in most of these more progressive beliefs is so obvious. Like most people can see right through the BS, and yet they still have followers. They still have a lot of people that are giving them power. So maybe Bob Iger, just to go back on what we were talking about, like the tinfoil stuff. So maybe Iger just had to start looking for somebody else, or at least give the illusion of looking for somebody else, because he still has to run a business. You know what I mean? There still has to be stockholders that they're appeasing, and there still has to be some kind of overall business plan of success. So,
I mean, I think I might have found some evidence, though. I think I might have found some evidence.
Oh no,
I might have.
me.
I might have. I'm sorry. Now, what do we have here? We have two sexy chicks getting it, and what's Bob Iger doing? Looking at the cameraman.
He's extremely happy about that too. He likes that cameraman.
Yeah. He loves that cameraman. I mean, come on. Look at those two beautiful women.
Look at the position of his arm. That look on Minnie's face.
He could be.
Yeah, he could be. Yeah.
Are you suggesting a goosing, Bob?
Yeah. Hey, man, look at the position. Look at the position.
No. He's
Where
wrong.
the heck is
He's looking at the
Mickey?
cameraman. Yeah. Protect your woman, Mickey.
Where you at, Mickey?
Mickey's like, you're gonna have her. I'm done.
Well, you know who he's eyeing then? He's eyeing Mickey. He's like,
yeah,
he's like, look what I got.
It's a complete power play.
Oh man.
He's like, what are you gonna do? What are you gonna do, Mouse? Huh?
Oh,
yeah, it's funny that
we are
now that The Mandalorian has been such a huge hit, and both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni were given total creative control, and when Kathleen Kennedy tried to step in and exert her influence, she was shut down by reportedly Bob Iger himself.
Yeah.
But you know what? A lot of these film companies, even though they're under the same or a similar umbrella, movies and TV are completely different as far as like what they focus on as far as importance.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there could be some of that as well. So it's like small fish, just let them have their way. And where Kathleen Kennedy might have tried to do that, but her focus is still more on the bigger, the bigger picture. But let me ask you, because maybe I'm talking falsely. Is that Headland that Leslie? Is that going to be Disney Plus, or is that going to be theatrical?
It's a series.
Yeah, so far there's a whole story behind that too, Art, which goes into the politics and the power dynamics that we were talking about a little bit earlier. But yeah, it's supposedly, it was just confirmed by Disney officially. I believe it was yesterday. Someone can correct me if that's incorrect, but I believe that it finally got official confirmation from Disney yesterday. But prior to that, the controversy was that Leslie Headland did her own little PR tour promoting this quote unquote female centric Star Wars show on Disney Plus. And when she was asked about it, when she was asked about it, she said that it was all her and Kathleen Kennedy. And then there was a leak from a Walt Disney World higher up who often goes to a particular Disney forum to release information when things are going downhill. And this particular pro has an excellent track record of having their information corroborated, having their predictions validated, so on and so forth. So I started paying attention when I found out it was this particular person who was the source of this info. And they were saying that the day that Variety and other outlets got this PR package about this upcoming female-centric Star Wars show from Leslie Headland, the Disney executives, including Bob Iger, were circulating emails saying, I've never heard of this. Have you heard of this? No, I haven't heard of this.
Yeah, it was news to them.
It was news to them because apparently they have a process internally where when they've got an actual show that has been vetted by the corporate higher-ups and everyone's on board, they go through their internal PR department and send out a press package that follows a certain template. And that was not done with this Leslie Headland female-centric Star Wars show.
Do you think it'll ever see the light of day, though, Joe?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't until Disney officially confirmed it.
Yeah.
And this may sound a little counterintuitive, but the fact that they actually caved and decided to go ahead with this makes me believe that there was a whole lot of discussion at Disney corporate. And for whatever reasons, I'm sure there were more than one, they decided just to go with it because so much press had already been released. But I do think that
very negative press, though, Joe.
Yeah, well, yeah, true.
Think
and because of that, I think we are eventually going to get the full story. I doubt it'll be from Bob Iger, but I do think at some point it will come out.
I think what's going to happen is it takes years to develop this stuff. So Kathleen Kennedy's contract is going to ride out. So they can't, Disney as a company and Bob Iger cannot directly criticize a woman. They can't criticize Kathleen Kennedy. They haven't done it yet. I don't know why, but they haven't done it yet. So they're not going to do it. They're not going to, screw up now. They have a policy of how to deal with her. So pretty much they took the power away from her. So she's just a figurehead. She has no power, but she's trying. She's not going to go quietly. Right. She's trying to get as much shit, and throw just as much fuel on the fire as she can before she exits.
Yeah,
which is next year.
What I think
is next year, yeah,
is the better move from a corporate standpoint is for Iger just to go and Disney go, yeah, we're going to do it. Write out the contract. Kathleen Kennedy's gone. And guess what? They can make up any excuse at that moment in time for why it didn't happen. And Kathleen Kennedy doesn't have any power within the company to do anything against them.
No funding.
Yeah.
So sorry.
Well, the thing that a lot of people are saying is going to happen. Sorry to cut you off there, man. They're like, okay, we'll go ahead and put because they always intended to do another series. That was always they've always intended to do that. They said, we'll go ahead and put this thing into post-production. But when her contract's up, she's out. Somebody else, and then they could put whoever they want in on this thing and say, okay, here's where we're going with this series.
They could do that or just bury it. I mean, it wouldn't be like a film company to bury an idea they could make up just about any reason for why it didn't happen. And also, it's so far. Does anybody know how long Kathleen Kennedy has on her contract?
2021.
Yeah, next year she's out.
Next year. That's what I'm saying.
They could easily ride this out. They can easily ride this out.
Not only that, but they've got COVID as an excuse of saying that, you know what, we're going to put the production of this on the back burner because we're having serious financial problems. And then when we get those taken care of, we'll go back and we'll reassess this. And
who's going to argue with it? Because the Obi-Wan series has been greenlit, moved forward, been put on the back burner, moved forward, back burner. So they've already had a history of following up some of these shows in various different. Because wasn't there another one? There was Mandalorian. There was the Obi-Wan series, and I thought there was a third one that they had initially.
Did they talk about Darth Maul series?
Maybe there was a Darth Maul series.
Yeah, they kicked that around. There was also the
Coruscant.
Yeah,
deep underground or whatever it was.
Yeah,
called.
like the Coruscant Underworld story series that they were talking about doing. They actually did some pre-production stuff on it. There you go.
It's real.
This is for 7. This is for you, brother. Hey, we don't care about people in the chat because we care and we listen, right?
That's right. That's right.
But
I got Joe. That's I'm done. I'm done, Art. I'm good.
Todd is like a friggin' rock. He's like, I'm not laughing at shit.
No, he's mad. He's mad.
Todd's thoroughly disgusted with
I got him to break a smile. But no, the Cassier Andor. They were going to do a series about Cassier Andor from Rogue One.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were kicking around a whole bunch of different ideas, but like we said, and like I said, the situation with the virus that will not be named, that gives them an out on anything. You know, with all the financial problems that they're having, like they're trying to get they just trying to get a $6 billion loan. You know, it's like Disney's in a situation where they can shelf pretty much anything they want.
Yeah, trust me, Bob. Getting a reason is not going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's not going to be hard for those guys. They have spin doctors beyond spin doctors that, you know, it's not going to be a problem. The only problem is they just have to pacify or at least seem like they're supporting Kathleen Kennedy until that they can, you know, oust her from the whole thing. My bigger question is George Lucas ever going to come forward and say, I mean, if you think about it, and Joe and I talked about this a little bit, and I want to get into this stuff too, about betrayal and how these Hollywood people, if anybody thinks these people have morality, they do not. So
No.
There's a series of betrayals. Okay, so Kathleen Kennedy gets hired in to be like Lucas's right hand man, right? Go in there, look after my interests. I don't trust Disney. Disney's slave. What is it? White slavers and
White slavers.
blah. So he kind of knows what Disney's capable, but he also knows that this is probably the best place for Star Wars as far as long-term down the line stuff, because, you know, he doesn't really have anything else planned as far as Luke. I mean, obviously he had nothing planned because when he sold it, you know, these movies and this whole everything Star Wars fell apart. So you have that, but then you have Kathleen Kennedy that came in and betrayed him. But then you also, Joe and I were talking about this, you have J.J. Abrams, who came in there, and the truth came out about this stuff too, because people are starting to compare like Star Wars to Star Trek. And what Abrams did with Star Trek, there was a little bit of a different scenario, but it was the same idea that he brought over into Star Wars, which was, let's change the IP, then we can claim partial ownership or ownership of these things. So I know CBS and Paramount had a problem, but definitely J.J. Abrams, as an opportunist, went in there and fundamentally changed things. What is it, 10, 20%? And so then he could claim some kind of ownership. So what I heard is that he tried, whoever it was, CBS or Paramount, to basically end the OG, the original Star Trek, like get rid of it all together, so that the new Star Trek would be the only thing in the zeitgeist, so the only thing that people knew. And so he claimed the reason they weren't selling well is because of the old IP stuff was still available. So that's what he did to save face. That's why the marketing of the new Star Trek didn't go over. So smash cut to Star Wars, and think about, you know, like C-3PO with the red arm, the disc on the frickin' Millennium Falcon, like all these like little changes. But if you know IP law and you know these things, these fundamental changes make a big difference as far as ownership, right? So, you know, and then who gets credit for these things? Well, you know, various people, but the big payola goes to J.J. Abrams and the people that were behind.
Well, he does look like a moneylender.
Yeah.
Yeah, he does.
Well, there's also the fact that part of the deal was that Lucas didn't lose all control over Star Wars. He kept a certain percentage of it, and he became the largest shareholder in Disney, right behind the estate of Steve Jobs.
But also,
and he got and if they used any stuff that they used from the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy, he got a percentage of that. So part of it was also, we need to kill off as much of that as possible.
Right. And then Kathleen Kennedy, who was supposed to look after that guy's interest, what happened there? You know what I mean? Like there's some serious betrayals going on here. And then Joe and I were just talking about the sheer morality of like this is what when we were talking the other day. It just, as a creative person, most of us here are, that there was this asshole, I'm just going to say J.J. Abrams, this asshole that instead of just going, George Lucas, he created these IPs. He created Star Wars. No, he wasn't like that. He was like, I want a piece of that. I want ownership of George Lucas's creation. What kind of arrogant turd does this kind of shit, right? And he doesn't contribute story. He doesn't contribute, like most of those guys that wrote the comic books, the Star Wars comics and the novels. Those guys contributed way more to the mythology of Star Wars and have less ownership of than this jackass that comes in and says, I'm going to change 3PO's arm to red. You know what I mean? Like this is,
and not explain why until later.
This is because there was no reason. It was only because he wanted to steal part of the ownership from that guy. There's for George Lucas, man. This is why I want that guy to speak out. I'm sorry, I'm doing a lot of talking right now, but
I just saw Eric Hawkins' joke up there. He said, "It's too many beards. It's like a Turkish bathhouse in here."
Yeah. Well, hey now. But no, Art. Another sad little twist. Just as an aside, Star Trek has just recently finally came together under one house again, for so long, and now what's happening? Netflix is going to buy it.
Yeah.
Right. And
so I mean, it's like the saga's not over, dude. It's going to get worse.
The hope is that they can get the bad reboot guys out of there. Whether they're going to be able to do that,
please, God,
that's going to be the big question. Because if they can, then maybe that franchise will have a future.
Yeah. What do you guys think about because there is a I don't want to call it a conspiracy theory because it does have a little bit of weight to it, but the bunch of beardos.
Wonder beards entwine.
I ain't entwining shit with you, man. Spirit Car said, I think Lucas knew very well who Kennedy was. The fans were brutal to Lucas post prequel trilogy. Kennedy was his panted revenge against Disney and the fans.
Wait, you have to say that again because Chester's talking over you the whole time.
Yeah, shut up, Chester. Spirit Car said, some people think that Lucas knew who Kennedy was and that he sold Star Wars deliberately because he knew that because of the hate that he got from the trilogy,
maybe
from the prequel trilogy, and that he did that. Like he was like, okay, well, you guys can. I'm going to make a bunch of money off of this thing, and you guys can worry about the headaches from now on.
A horrible gamble with your baby, man. That is like beyond.
I disagree with that theory because if that were the case, he would have just sold it outright. He wouldn't have been like, I demand all these exception things so that I can keep making money off of it.
Yeah, because purposely like trying to sabotage your own IP, that's a deeper level than I could give him credit for. That's pretty sinister, man.
Yeah, and that's Robert Romero said that Frakes told my wife and I the Klingons looked ridiculous in Discovery when we saw him at con. That goes to the like you were talking, Art, about the disingenuousness of Hollywood. Because if you look at all the interviews and stuff that he does about the show's great, it's fantastic. All you people are just you're man babies because you don't like the show and all this stuff. But then you get them in private and they're like, nah, yeah, it sucks. They don't believe the crap that they're spewing.
It's the same thing the governors are doing to Trump, right?
Yeah. Even they don't believe the crap.
And I gotta. This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But Eric Hawkins, sir, you hairless monkey. There's much more difference between a bear and a man.
Is this the one? Where is it?
That's the one.
Yes, that's the one.
Yeah, but he only
he
only made $4 billion off the sale. Yeah, poor guy.
Yeah, but I'm just hoping that like maybe on Lucas's deathbed, like he's got his memoirs, right? And then it's like, yeah, Kathleen Kennedy fucked me over, and he's just a crotchety. He has nothing to lose at that point. And it's like,
oh, you're not cripping on the sequel trilogy now, are you?
Kathleen. I don't know, man. When that Kathleen Kennedy news came out earlier in the week, I was joyous about it because finally it seems like things that people have been saying, the dots are being connected, and it just seems to make sense that, especially with the Galaxy's Edge thing, somebody had to have made those decisions. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And she was definitely the one in position. And if you go to the Disney park, I don't know, like Southern California here, they had a Star Wars experience before even the park was made. And there's this little propaganda film with KK and her minions, right? and they're all talking about, you know, this how amazing this new Star Wars is going to be, and they have this new brain trust, and then, you know, she introduces all the different brain trusts, and of course they're all women, right? And how she's going to do this. She's got so many ideas of how to take, you know, to do animation. This woman has so many ideas of video games and different, you know what I mean? So they're not saying what these ideas are, which is what you would do to sell things. They're just saying they have good ideas, kind of like the Leslie Headland thing. They're not saying what the idea really is. They're just saying that it's going to be strong females and it's going to be a female-led Star Wars. Like, that's a marketing point. That's not a marketing point. You know, it hasn't been before.
Well, the thing is with that, though, Art, why would you want to sell to half of your potential customers?
That's what I was about to say.
Why would you want to do that?
Why would you just come out and say, by the way, for the other 50% of the population, we don't want your money.
Yeah, exactly.
We don't want it. We don't want it. And that's exactly what the whole entire Harley Quinn thing did. And guess what? Guess what? Most of the people that actually contributed the money were men still.
Yeah.
You know, when they actually, it was like, when they did a survey on to see how many men and women went into the theater, majority of it was men. Yeah, majority of it was men.
You know? They didn't even.
Where were your feminist?
Yeah, I know. We didn't even get a. We didn't even get a side boob, Zach. It was horrible.
I wanted to address what Spirit said. There's no proof Lucas has any royalties for Disney Star Wars. People have said that's never been confirmed. He has creator royalties.
He does.
He doesn't have ownership, but he does have like ownership royalties, they call them. So
it's kind of like when art with comic book characters that you create or something like that. Anytime it's anytime it's used in a medium or something like that, you get a stipend.
Yeah, like all the cable characters that Fabian and I created, we get a percentage. And I think it's called like an ownership royalty, but you don't own the character.
Yeah, you don't own the license, but you own the characters that you own a royalty of the characters and stuff that you created.
Yeah, they just give you they give you money. So that's what George is doing. And you know what they've obviously showed with George is he did have some ideas, and they completely discounted those ideas. And he did have some insight. I think it's documented. He's saying, why are you rehashing the original trilogy? That's already done. Could we move the story forward? So those were observations, and those are documented. So he did see some problems with this stuff early on, but I do like, he's very professional. He says that I don't want to really come forth and say anything because there's a lot of people that I know and love that are working on these films that are reliant on this money. So if he casts shade, then they won't do as well. You know what I mean? So he's got to at least give the illusion of a seal of approval on this stuff because he feels like it would be a betrayal to those harder, working people that are in earnest and are trying to do a good job.
And Iger confirmed in his memoir that he tried to get Lucas to sign I forget exactly what he called it, but it's essentially a clause in the contract that Lucas refused to agree to, good for him, where Lucas would have had to agree not to criticize any of the Disney Star Wars stuff. And Lucas said to Iger, I'm not going to agree to that clause, but look, I'm going to become a ginormous Disney shareholder when this ink is dry on this contract, and it's not going to be in my best interest to run down Disney Star Wars. So strike that clause. Let's do the deal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a suggestion for our next Jedi, by the way.
Okay.
Oh God.
All right.
Here it comes.
Did you want more setup, or is that the setup?
Oh, no. I just also wanted to kind of add on to it a little bit with Zach with why men went to go see that horrible movie, Birds of Prey. There's a reason. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And the next Jedi, I personally think. I'd go watch this shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah, baby.
There's some serious airbrushing going on that thigh.
Yeah. I don't care.
That looks so horrible.
Margot Robbie is cute, man. I'll give it to and she does make a good Harley Quinn. This is that movie sucks.
Yeah, she does.
Mm-hmm. She's a really good actress. So, she's worth her.
She's an actress.
She's an actress.
She's been in some good stuff.
But it's that movie sucked because of the script and the director. So
what was the movie? The one with the ice skater where the ice skater got kneecapped.
Tanya.
Tanya Harding.
Yeah, she was
She
pretty
did
good at that. I
She
thought-
did a pretty good job. Yeah, I agree. No, she's not bad. I mean, especially compared to the actresses we have today. She's not bad at all. We've seen a real problem with actresses these days because not all of them, but a lot of them because they're just getting a free ride. And it's you can see when you compare it to the male actors who are working their butt off to keep their body in a perfect condition for what the role is, to put forward their best acting ability. There is a disparity right now between the actor and the actress, without question. There's a few of them that are knocking it out of the park for sure, but this is a problem, and it wasn't a problem 30 years ago.
Okay, I'm gonna Spirits Car. You cast some shade here. I know the truth here. Okay, Kevin Eastman sold off his share of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. He gets no royalties for any of that now. I'm suspect of your guys' legal knowledge. I'll tell you, he was not in the position of George Lucas when he sold the Ninja Turtles originally. That thing became a success because he did sell it off. It did become bigger because he sold it off. Those guys were semi-successful, but I know how these deals go. Like if I sold Chrono Mechanics tomorrow, it would be a buyout contract. I'm telling you right now, whoever would buy it, they would have all rights, exclusive rights to all toys, video games, movies, TV, everything. So even somebody like what was the Rocketeer guy, Dave Stevens, he sold everything to Disney. The only thing he was able to hold on to was the publishing rights. So most of the time, like I remember talking to Paul Dini, and we were talking about selling your first cartoon show. And he said, you're going to get it. You're going to take it in the butt, your first sell, because you don't have a track record. And then we were talking about, I forget the guy's name, the Simpsons creator, Matt Groening. And he even Matt said to me, he said, I made more off the Futurama sell than I did off of 20 years of Simpsons money. He said, because when you make your first sell in Hollywood, it is the worst deal possible. They will rape you, man. Pardon my French. They will take everything from you. So
Rapé.
if Kevin Eastman had a bad deal, it's because he didn't have the clout. And those things are hard to renegotiate down the line because he doesn't have any contractual power. He can't really do much of anything. So
Yeah.
I think that's why that happened.
And besides, beyond all the theories we put forward of Lucas's intentions, we do know that in a way this is his fault. Not just because he sold it, but because he put in the fact that in that contract, he gains percentages off of every time they put one of his characters in there. And that's why they went in and brought in Abrams, who's good at that kind of thing, hacking stuff, because he's a hack, right? And they brought him in to make sure that they would get rid of those things as quickly as possible so they didn't have to play George Lucas a penny more. That we know that is real, Spirits Car. We know that's happening.
And that's in Iger's book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we've seen it mentioned elsewhere as well.
Well, it's just like the Matt Groening thing. Like Futurama, he made a killing. Simpsons, he did not. I mean, it's relative to each other. I mean, by our standards, he still did very, very well. But the only reason he did on Simpsons is because of the longevity of that show. But if it went 2 seasons, and that was it, nobody would remember him, and he wouldn't have made any money other than that moment in time money, which was just like Dave Stevens on Rocketeer. He said, I was able to buy a pretty nice house when I asked him about it. So that's the kind of money that we're talking about in these buyout deals, these option deals, these buyout deals. They're not that great. And unless you have some kind of cachet going in, you're probably not going to get a very good deal. So I think this is my take on poor George Lucas. I think George Lucas is a very simple person. And I think he believes in certain things, and he doesn't think people are out to screw him. I think he's very naive. Let me just say
I agree.
I think he's incredibly naive, even though he's got a lot of powerful attorneys around him. But I think he's very kid-like in his approaches. So I think he really believed that Disney was going to do him right. I really believe that he thought that they were going to do the right thing by him. And within a couple years, it was pretty obvious that that just wasn't the case.
Yeah, and the reason
Iger detailed that in his memoir, that he admitted he led George down the garden path, and George was happy to walk down it with him.
Wow.
And then when Disney, did what they did, George was just genuinely shocked. He couldn't believe they did that to him.
And as far as the concessions that they were willing to make to him, you got to remember at the time, Star Wars was the golden goose, man.
Pablo.
Star Wars was like a license to print money when Disney bought it. Just from the merchandising sales alone.
Yeah,
so they were willing to. So they were willing to be a lot more lenient, maybe a lot more lenient to be able to get their hands on that kind of a property. So
right, and to back up your point, they overpaid for Star Wars.
Yeah.
The Disney overpaid for Star Wars, and then maybe that's why George thought falsely that Disney was his buddies too, because he said he wanted the Marvel deal, and that's what he said. But Disney said, they number crunched, and they said Marvel has a track record that Star Wars doesn't, and also they have an in-house brain trust that Star Wars does not. So.
Yeah. And look at how successful the first movie was. That's the level of excitement that
I've never seen hype like it, dude. Never seen hype. Oh my
God, people were losing their minds.
Yeah.
And if that had continued, Star Wars would have made 10 times the bank that they'd already made.
I mean, think about how disappointing that was, dude. I mean, all the hype, everyone was so excited. Me too. Everyone, we were all excited. New Star Wars, they're really pushing it. Everyone was so excited. And the first movie was like,
Yeah.
And then it went down and down. And it's like, oh man, what a missed opportunity. But there's been many of those.
But I think Lucas was smart to sell it, because honestly, I think, like I said, even George Lucas isn't George Lucas anymore.
Yeah,
I think he realized he was done, and he was like, okay, here you go.
He had nobody else, even in Lucasfilm. He had nobody he could really give it, hand it off to. So, and nobody that had power outside of that studio. So Disney has proven that they've been around for 90 years. Well, how old's Mickey now? So that company has sustainability that even Lucasfilm, LucasArts doesn't have. But if this is directed at me, I'll tell you right now, I love what George did with those first 3 movies. I was the first to cast shade with the Phantom Menace and all that shit. So I see things very realistically. I see George Lucas's flaws here. So
yeah, and I agree with you, with you, Joe. I think Lucas he's a great idea man.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think he's got some good acting chops. But as a writer, I mean, what's like most people think Empire is the best Star Wars movie ever made. He didn't write it.
Right. He didn't write it. He didn't direct it.
No.
Yeah.
So
his dialogue is truly awful in my opinion.
Which was the biggest complaint. Was one of the biggest complaints from the prequel trilogy.
From the prequels, yeah,
is that the dialogue was cheesy as hell.
Yeah, so, I used to sum up Lucas this way. Okay, in the Renaissance, there was a guy named Da Vinci, and then there was a guy named Michelangelo, right?
Yeah.
Okay, you look at Da Vinci, and Da Vinci was a pioneer. He was a guy that was ideas, right? But if you look at his career, there were only 3 finished paintings in his entire career. His sketchbooks, his legacy,
are amazing.
His studies were the ones that actually threw things into the forefront. But then you have somebody like Michelangelo who polished the hell out of those ideas. That guy was a master craftsman. So Lucas is an idea guy. Like, even if you look at Lucasfilm, all the special effects, Industrial Light and Magic, all of those things.
John, you suck.
What did he do?
The comic book Bob is anti-Lucas, confirmed SJW incel White Knight.
No, that's John Dillard. But I do have a proper Luca here for us, by the way, for you.
Luca Brasi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't mess with that.
I hope your first child is a masculine child. I will leave you now because I know that you are busy.
and just for those of you who think that I'm always on about the Asian girls, I like white girls. I do.
Nobody would say that about you, Cornelius.
Oh my god. But no, like I think like we were talking about, you were comparing. I think George is very much in the vein of Da Vinci, in that the effect that he had on other people is much greater than his own creative drive.
Yeah, he threw film into the 21st century. Like even in the latter 20th century, the ideas and the effects that he was throwing forward. And then if you think even like Pixar and a lot of these companies, he has a finger in all of that stuff. So if you look at all the pioneering that has been done in the last, I don't know, 20 years, even 30 years, has all come out of pretty much that same camp, with that same leadership. So, yeah, I do believe that the Phantom Menace trilogy would have been better if somebody else took his script, rewrote it, and somebody else directed it. Because
now, for the record, the stuff that is in it that is cool is really cool. Like Darth Maul's a great character. I would have loved to have seen more of that. I was pissed when he died.
Yeah, just like Boba Fett, man. The best designed characters don't reach their full potential. Yeah. Should we start wrapping this up, or do you guys?
Sure.
Yeah.
Todd, I signed up, man.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, I did.
Awesome.
Okay, so Todd. Well, we'll get to Todd. Todd's got some stuff to promote, but first in line is Zach. Zach, parting thoughts, promotion.
Parting thoughts are just keep doing what we're doing. What, like the things that the actual things that we are doing right now are going to have a huge effect later. I can't wait for my daughter to be in her teens and stuff, and then she's looking at myself and she finds chronomechanics, and then she's like, oh, this is so cool, and I'll be like, I actually talked to that guy, and then she goes and shows it to her friends. And then they see it and stuff, and it can have a chain reaction and whatnot. And then hopefully, with what Alternative's doing, they'll have that reaction in whatever. And I know Todd's going to get angry at me because I said whatever.
Whatever.
Are you angry, Todd?
No.
Todd's
Whatever.
always angry.
Whatever. But anyways, go check out Eric Weathers just launched Battlebrick Road. It looks amazing. So that's my endorsement of the night.
And you have a book. You have a book up right now. It's called Golma. So don't you have that little thing that you'd like to talk about?
Yeah, but it's in demand, and I'm so yeah. I have a book on Golma.
It's a brilliant looking book, and if Zach can say it, I'll say it. It's an amazing looking book. Go check it out. Back the boy Zach. He's way too humble. I know the feeling because I kind of get in the same rut. But man, if that book's going to have a voice, it's going to be yours. So you got to get out there, man.
This is true.
Promote it. Golma.
Weird name. Good
Golma.
art.
Yeah, no, the art's beautiful. Yeah.
All right, Chester, you're back to work now. So what else is going on?
Well, in this time of troubles and plague, we need to find ourselves a moral compass. And we need to find someone who can guide us through the shadow into the light, and help promote that which needs to be done and which needs to be seen, which is righteous and just. Can you put my picture up, please?
No.
What would Mark Wade do? What would Mark Wade do?
I thought you were talking about Bob or Joe.
That's important.
He's talking about the sheriff of Comics Town.
That's right. What
Whack
would
Will
Mark
time.
Wade do?
Yeah.
Or Mark
Where
Wade
are all
do,
the white
bitchy
women
motor
at?
bitchin' wine.
Yeah, but no, other than that, definitely a fun conversation, interesting stuff, certainly topical, but definitely come over to FanSpeak. You can find it at Chester Busby on YouTube, also www.fanspeak.live. Yeah, that's right. But come over and have the conversations, and come back every week for Pontificators, man. This is a fun show, and tell your friends and share it out, man.
We're doing it live. All right, Joe, what about you?
Well, I would just say that as we move forward with the comic book industry, mainstream, indie, whatever it is, just keep your eyes and ears open. There's going to be a lot of stuff, obviously, that's still happening from day to day, week to week. And I'm still saying what I've been saying since 2018. I think the industry is going to go through some massive changes. I think it's going to look very different in the next couple of years than it has for the last couple of decades. And I think it's up to every individual to do what they can to try and influence things and get the result that you want out of the industry that you love. So if you love comics, I would just say speak up, make your voice heard, and let people know what you want. Speak with your voice, speak with your wallet. And on the other side of all of this, I'm not sure exactly what it's all going to look like, but I'm excited to find out.
Well, you're so excited you're going to launch a book, within the next couple months. So that's how much faith you have in it. So that's putting your money where your mouth is.
Yep.
And I do agree. I think I don't think the changes are going to come from Marvel, DC, Diamond. I think it's been pretty clear. I mean, if anything we take from this Pontificators this couple hours, is that I don't think the change is going to come from those guys. So it's going to come from Comicsgate. It's going to come from people like Zach, Joe, Todd. I think Chester's even thrown around some ideas of a comic book in the future. So I think it's going to come from people like us, people that are willing to take chances and to bring, God forbid, bring it right to the consumers, bring it right to the readers. You know what I mean? Like let's bypass all these walls and just deal directly to the consumers and see what they want. Let them vote. No middleman, no retailer, no diamond distributor. So having said that, Bob, do you got anything to add?
Oh, Art.
Oh, do I?
What do I have to add? Okay. Well, check me out on my channel, Comic Book Bob. I do a lot of stuff on there, but recently I'm getting back to actually doing some drawing on there. I do my drawings we're learning to draw together, guys. I'm not one of these top guys like Art. I'm learning how to do things, but I'm doing those streams over there, and I open it up. Everybody can come in and join, just like it's pretty much an open mic thing. Let me go ahead and drop that in there. But this week also, I don't know if you guys are wrestling fans, but over on the Wrestling Council on Antonio Bryce's channel, Akari Press, we are doing our first watch along for WWE's Money in the Bank.
Are you going to be talking about Miss Elizabeth?
We're going to be talking about all kinds of stuff, pretty much making fun of everything. But also check out Jimmy Reyes' channel. I'm a talking head over there on his streams. This week we have tomorrow, as a matter of fact, really cool open mic. Again, we opened up to everybody that come in and just hang out and talk and actually get to pick these artists' brains. This week we have artist Anna Havana. And I'm gonna drop her social media in here so you can get a look at the kind of stuff that she does. But yeah, go check us out over there on Saturday, and then check us out back here on the Anna Havana.
Oh,
I thought you said banana, so Todd's getting hungry.
Yeah.
Oh,
but yeah,
I knew a stripper named Savannah.
But check out all that stuff, guys, and then like he said, man, come back here and check us out on this channel, man. Because and you know what? If you got a subject you want us to talk about, drop it in the comments, man. Yeah,
please. Yeah, or DM us. That's always welcome for sure. So thanks. And Bob, I was always told not to take chances in your professional published work, but to take the risks and chances in your sketchbook. So I want to applaud if you're drawing live on your show. You are a really, really brave man. And the cool thing about this, you guys, is follow Bob, because what you're going to see in the next year, if Bob keeps it up, you're going to see progress. And you're going to actually in real time, you're going to get to see, this is the cool thing about YouTube, you guys, is you're going to get to see this guy's progression live every week or so when you do these shows. And I think that's absolutely fascinating. Like most people, they have their, those things in their sketchbook, but you're actually going to get to see an artist progress live before your very eyes.
And I've got no shame, so.
Well, no, I think it's a really cool idea. The only reason I brought up the other thing is because, the old school way was, you make the mistakes in your sketchbook. But I think with YouTube and stuff like that, especially a guy that's starting his career, you know what I mean? I think it's pretty cool. I think it's a cool idea.
There's no magic. There's only practice and time.
Yeah, and learning how to practice better.
I draw live too.
But and it's like I said, the chat is open. You can come in and you can draw with me. We can learn together.
Self-portrait.
That's a cool idea. All right, Todd, parting shots.
All right, if you bring it up, I have the
I'll bring it up.
Florida Man sign up early. And I was looking to see if I could get 10 people from the chat to sign up. I didn't get 10. There's 4 left. So I was going to quickly show the postcard, which some people here have seen. And I got it back colored by a guy. Really amazing. It's really kind of rich and colorful, like I would like Florida Man to be, because it's certainly not a gloomy gray book. So maybe we'll get to that eventually when I get permission, but I was going to sneak it if I could have got 10 signups. But yeah, go sign up early. There's a 30-second video there, 30 seconds of your time. Shows a little bit of artwork, a little razzle dazzle, and the postcard will be given to everyone who signs up early.
Well, let's back up for a minute. How many signups do you need? 4?
I was looking for 10, and I got it down to needing 4 more.
Okay, so hey, everybody in the chat, you don't have to back a book. There's no obligation. Go sign up for Florida Man. Nothing gained. Yeah, there's absolutely no risk involved. And if you do, you will get. Is it a postcard, Todd?
Yes, a free postcard.
Yeah. And we've seen the artwork for the postcard. It's very, very cool. So you'll get the postcard absolutely free. So you're not out anything, man. Just go over Florida Man, sign up, and get the free postcard, man.
Don't show it yet. Somebody did sign up. Don't show it yet.
I'm not sure.
But,
Actually, it was 2 people. Eric Hawkins said make it 3 now, and then Albino Thunderbuns said make it 2.
Guilty.
Okay.
All right. I want you to show this for like 15 seconds, all right?
All right. Well, who's
No,
going to count 15?
Hold on, I'm signing up. Give me a break. There you go. All right.
All right, Todd. See how this works? You ask, and you shall receive.
Thank you, everyone, very much.
All right. So hey,
Give me my shit.
see, Zach, that's how it's done. Jeez. All right. So can we share this?
You can.
Who's going to count 15 seconds?
I will count. I will do the counting.
All right. Here we go.
In Japanese.
Ichi, ni, san, yon, go.
I got it itchy right
So
here.
yeah, so you're gonna get this. You're gonna get this free, and it'll have a nice little. It'll look like a postcard.
Jich.
It'll have a nice little border around it. And this is our free giveaway. I might get in some trouble, but I like to show fan. I'm not one of those guys who can keep a secret. I want you to know you're getting something.
Wait, Chester didn't give us her time up.
Need you nana. Need you hachi. Need you cute. Oh, Sanju 30.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't want to go over because I don't want Todd to get mad at me. I saw him early on with Zach, and I don't want to feel that wrath.
No.
It's a cool looking book, man. I hope it does well.
Thank you.
It's a great idea, and the great Mike Barron of Nexus fame is your writer.
Yeah.
Oh, I missed that book.
And Badger, the Badger.
Oh yeah.
Badger,
I
man.
love the Badger, dude.
So when are you going to launch, Todd? Do you have a launch date yet?
Looks like May 25th.
Okay. So look forward to that later this month. And if you guys don't know, I have a little book called Chrono Mechanics.
Oh,
and,
God, Art, really?
Yes, I'm going to do it. You can't stop me, Bob. I'll you know what? I'm going to kick Bob out.
Kick him out. Do it. Do it. Do it.
All right, if people in chat want me to kick Bob out, I'll kick Bob out.
Am I the new NASA?
I won't.
Everyone type F to kick Bob. F for Bob.
No.
F.
I like Bob too.
F. I did it.
It always starts with one F, doesn't it? Oh no!
Yeah.
Look at Chester's got 3 Fs. Okay, Chrono Mechanics is the best comic you guys will ever read. We are so close to getting it out to the printer. The book is pretty much done. We're just waiting for the last of the lettering to come in. I have now James Dean Anderson working on design work. So he's going to do my front inside, front back, and front back inside, and then back
cool.
cover as well. The dude's
I loved him in Stargate.
You need to stop. No, he's the guy. He's the.
I know who he is, dude.
All
He's the guy that Todd hates. Todd hates
No,
him.
I don't hate him.
He's
Yes,
not
you
the
do.
actor either.
No, I don't.
Yeah,
No,
he's a
I
brilliant designer, and he's going to do. I have looked at the designs for the trading cards too. He's working on the Chrono Mechanics trading cards. They look brilliant. So we're going to be sharing those soon. And we are going to get the lucky guitar picks back next week. So I will be showing those off on a live stream. So if you don't know, the trading cards and the picks are stretch goals, and they are also coming along. So please go back Chrono Mechanics. Like I said, end of this month, it's going to print. So we have that. And then we have a pre-launch. Yes, Bob, I'm going to keep talking. We have a pre-launch for Black and White, Second Chance. I know. It's a shameless plug. But we are going to do a Second Chance campaign for Black and White Volume 1. So if you missed out on the first time, come by, sign up, just like with Todd, sign up, and we will give you a absolutely free, with a backing, a trading card done by anyone, the great Zach Bradley, which I've been showing it big time.
The nepotism.
Ooh, nepotism. You know, Art, I could help you out with that. I could send along some used signed reads that you could add into your promotion. I'm sure it would add just thousands.
No.
I was going to say condoms, but I stopped myself at the last.
Yeah, well, that would have been a step up.
You know what? Here's the line, and Chester's just like, let me just jump over that shit.
Well, right now, Chester's missing his cue for one last visual word. Do you have a last visual word that you can leave this glorious chat with?
I could, and I've been thinking about that. Who would be the best person to, actually try to represent it? But I had made some decisions. But let me get it back up here. Let me spell her name.
Beard Force, ho!
And I have decided that I think this is really what we need right here. This is the woman of the hour, of course, because we haven't mentioned her in quite a while, and we really should, because she's kind of the heart of the problem, I would say. But there you go, Art. Go ahead.
No. We were hoping for something else.
This is better. It's better. It's all about feminism and women's power, baby. And there she is. She's the real evil behind it, dude.
For the longest time, it was a mystery as to who hired her. And about a month ago, it was revealed that Joe Quesada went out and recruited her specifically and brought her to Marvel.
Yep. Understand a lot of the nonsense that's been going over the past so many years, it's her. That's her. She's the one leading this. She's on that. Right?
Oh, sweet, sweet sauna.
Okay, I got to do this. Okay, so Seven says he just back. Let's go.
Updated numbers.
We have been heating it up the last couple days. So let's see. Let's call his bluff, shall we? Okay, so this is where we were before the stream. I'm hitting refresh. Yeah.
There it is. There it is. All right.
Podcast naked for the week.
Yes, thank you so much, man. We were hovering just below that 41, and you brought it up there. So thank you so much, man. I appreciate this. This was a great way to end this Pontificators couple hours. So thank you so much, Seven. I appreciate it. And all these books, man, need some loving. So we got Goma, we have Florida Man signups. So thank you, and everybody have a wonderful weekend. Thanks for making this such a huge success. We all look forward to this every week, every Friday. The chat are amazing, and thanks to all my co-hosts. Thanks, you guys. Take care. See you next week.
Hey, everybody. Your